Chapter 4598. As Sun Jian flew through the air, his clear gaze swept across the celestial and pure Jade Palace Master. Seeing that the two were evenly matched, his heart calmed down slightly. Then, his figure flashed, wanting to teleport to the side of the battle between Xiaohua and the Tai Ching Palace Master. Unfortunately, he couldn't move at all after activating his true qi. The space around him was shattered, and layers of spatial restrictions overflowed. How could he teleport here? Sun Jian was helpless. He waved his three-pointed, double-edged sword in his hand, protecting himself as he flew towards Xiaohua. At this time, the Tai Ching Palace Master seemed to be really angry with Xiaohua. His fists and kicks emitted sharp whistling sounds. The light and darkness were already somewhat chaotic, and a dim gray gradually appeared around the Tai Ching Palace Master's body. Not to mention, the Tai Ching Palace Master's crown was already somewhat crooked, and his originally neat armor was also torn to pieces by Xiaohua's thunderous hands. Looking at Xiaohua again, he wasn't much better. Many places on the several thousand feet long golden body were broken, and the two-colored clouds seemed to stick to it, spreading in all directions from time to time. Good. The Tai Ching Palace Master shouted again, and raised his hand to slap the top of his head. With a loud bang, the two-colored true qi gushed out like a volcanic eruption, and a two-colored list flashed with dazzling light as it rushed out. The moment the list appeared, endless propitious qi surged, and the power of the heavenly Tao and the aura of tens of thousands of people instantly filled the entire space. Wherever the propitious qi of the list went, the void that was previously shattered by everyone quickly healed, and a clear qi seeped out from the void. Seeing the leaderboard charge out, the light and darkness that had filled the space earlier converged into the leaderboard like a river flowing into the sea. An even more powerful sealing force surged out from the leaderboard. How could Xiaohua not know that this was the real mysterious yellow leaderboard? He narrowed his eyes, feeling the power of tearing space around him, and whispered, "Profound yellow list? Tai Ching Palace Master, Tai Ching Palace Master." In the distance, Sun Jian saw the Tai Ching Palace Master take out the profound yellow list, and couldn't help but become anxious. He waved his three-pointed, double-edged sword and madly rushed over, shouting, "This matter was caused by this junior, please calm your anger for now." "Sun Cho?" The Grand Purity Palace Master was slightly taken aback as he looked at Sun Jian in confusion. Although the Xianhuang proclamation didn't stay still, it paused slightly and only locked onto Xiaohua's aura. "Hee, what are you doing here?" Xiaohua saw Sun Jian waving his three-pointed, double-edged blade over. Although Sun Jian's face was unfamiliar, he immediately understood. He smiled and asked, stopping the magic power in his hand, "What about Immortal Emperor Go-Chin? Kuai Yu has been reporting for so long, but he still hasn't shown his face." Sun Jian bowed and said, "Tao Master, this matter is all Junior's fault. Junior apologizes to Senior here, and I hope that Senior will not make things worse." "Oh? You, what did you do wrong?" Xiaohua was slightly stunned, and asked curiously. "This old man only came to the Immortal Palace to ask the Immortal Emperor a question." Sun Jian was also taken aback, but he quickly said respectfully, "I know I'm in the wrong. Although I have already reported to the Immortal Emperor and asked His Majesty to give up the expedition, the decree of the expedition to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range has not been reviewed by the Immortal Emperor. So if Senior wants to ask the Immortal Emperor for an explanation, then Junior will bear all responsibility." Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, when he saw Sun Jian's anxious expression, he was moved by his sincerity, and said with a smile, "This matter has nothing to do with you. The matter of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range has already passed. This old man came to ask the Immortal Emperor about another matter." "Another matter?" Sun Jian was puzzled, and asked curiously, "Senior, what other matter is worthy of such a large mobilization?" "What do you mean by a large mobilization?" Xiaohua sneered. "This old man came alone and followed the etiquette to wait outside the southern heavenly gate. Who would have thought that the master of the Xianhuang proclamation would shamelessly come out and ask for a beating, And that Jade Pure Palace Master even wanted to win with numbers. Humph. The master of the Tai Ching Palace's expression changed, and a loud rumbling sound came from his body. Boom! At this moment, in the distant Immortal Palace, there was a huge tremor, and rays of light rushed over like a torrential river. The rays of light carried endless majesty. Wherever the rays of light passed, the shattered void healed, and the chaotic order of heaven and earth instantly became orderly. Even the awe-inspiring energy and heaven and earth origin energy were orderly. Good! Seeing that the master of the Tai Ching Palace had put away his horsetail whisk, the Celestial also felt bored. He looked around and shouted, "As expected of the master of the Immortal Palace, this one admires you." Roar! Wherever the rays of light passed, the roar of a dragon resounded in the sky. Ga. Along with the dragon's roar, the sound of a phoenix's cry also emerged. Between the auspicious appearance of a dragon and a phoenix, thousands of auspicious signs were born into space. The Immortal Palace that had previously been beaten into a shadow of light actually became full at this moment, and it once again stood tall with an imposing aura. The light and shadow were peaceful, and the sound of music and metal and stone also came. At the end of the auspicious rays of light, an emperor wearing a sun and moon imperial robe and a crown of heaven and earth appeared. This emperor's figure was only 1,000 jang tall, but in the vicinity of this 1,000 jang, countless inscriptions surged like flood dragons, and a world-suppressing aura was emitted from this emperor's figure. The rays of light came from the golden throne under the emperor. Layers of golden light fell into the sky, and each wave of rays of light was higher than the last, mightily rushing into the space. Xiaohua stood there and looked at the immortal emperor that was much smaller than his golden body, and his eyes narrowed. This emperor's aura condensed together with the golden throne like a monolith. A kind of heavenly Tao-like majesty rushed out from the rays of light, and that monolith's dignified aura caused Xiaohua's heart to thump loudly. This immortal emperor is the center of the fate of Confucian cultivators, and the golden throne represents the highest imperial power of Confucian cultivators in the world. Who knows how many generations, how many supreme beings have sat on it? This kind of accumulation is far from what this Xiao can compare to. Seeing immortal Emperor Gaochen come out, Sun Jian wanted to move over, but looking at Xiaohua and the master of Tai Ching Palace, he hesitated. Seeing Sun Jian like this, Xiaohua's heart moved, and he transmitted a message. "Sun Jian, you still haven't found the mastermind behind Sun Hao?" Sun Jian turned his head somewhat absent-mindedly and said, "I'm afraid I can't. Previously I had some clues, but they were inextricably linked, and I couldn't find the source. Today, this junior must return to his original appearance." "Don't worry," Xiaohua smiled and said. "This old man just found out that Sun Hao's master might be related to the Heaven and Earth sect, which is the so-called Tianji Hall. However, this old man doesn't know who exactly it is." "Oh?" Sun Jian was stunned, and his absent-minded expression immediately disappeared. A trace of clarity appeared in his eyes, and it was replaced by an expression of sudden realization. "I see. This junior understands now." Sun Jian transmitted a message. "This guy hid too deeply. This junior has some clues here, but it seems that they have nothing to do with him. If Senior didn't remind me, this junior definitely wouldn't have thought of it. However, since Senior said so, most of the clues have a suitable conclusion." At this point, Sun Jian bowed to the master of Tai Ching Palace and said, "Master of Tai Ching Palace, this is a misunderstanding. Taoist Master Xiao came to the Immortal Palace to explain something to His Majesty the Immortal Emperor. Southern Heavenly Gate's Guardian General Kuai Yu is a general of the Heavenly King Palace. According to this junior's knowledge, he is also a person of the Xianwang Order. Taoist Master Xiao came to my Immortal Palace, and he didn't report such important news to the Immortal Emperor, but overstepped his authority to report to the Master of Tai Ching Palace. This crime is punishable by death. Damn it, do you think you are perfected, Lord Qingyuan?" The Master of Tai Ching Palace was a bit anxious, and the Xianhuan order that had stopped was about to fall. Even if this junior isn't perfected, Lord Qingyuan, this junior is still a general of the Sun Palace. Even if Kuai Yu can't find the Immortal Emperor in the Lingyun Palace, he still has to report this matter to this general. Sun Jian was not moved at all, and replied indifferently. If the master of Tai Ching Palace doesn't want Kuai Yu to die, then please wait for the Immortal Emperor's decree. With that, Sun Jian turned and left, no longer paying attention to the master of Tai Ching Palace. Damn it! The master of Tai Ching Palace was furious. No one in this Immortal Palace has ever contradicted this king. Who do you think you are? Ha ha! Xiaohua laughed loudly. With a swing of his Taoist robe, not only did he shatter the Immortal Emperor's multicolored light, but he also extinguished the ray of light that the master of Tai Ching Palace had shot towards Sun Jian. He laughed and said, "There wasn't one in the past, but it doesn't mean that there won't be one in the future. Even if you are a green onion, you have the right. How dare you challenge the self-proclaimed master?" Boom! The master of Tai Ching Palace was ashamed and angry. He raised his hand and pointed at the Xianhuang order. The entire Xianhuang order suddenly expanded, and two different kinds of light and darkness surged out, destroying the clear light and multicolored light of the Immortal Emperor and falling towards Xiaohua. Humph! Xiaohua coldly snorted and shouted, "The imperial weapon of a Confucian cultivator is only SOSO, and you dare to be arrogant in front of my Tao sect?" With that, Xiaohua raised his hand and waved, and a golden light rushed out. The Ting Jiao shears transformed into a golden dragon and pounced on the Xianhuang order. The dragon's tail swept, tearing the space apart, and the golden light entered the Xianhuang order in the blink of an eye. Hiss! The master of Tai Ching Palace was shocked and shouted, Ting Jiao shears? You! How can you have the Ting Jiao shears? Eh? Xiaohua was also stunned and looked at the master of Tai Ching Palace in confusion. He didn't understand how the master of Tai Ching Palace knew about the Ting Jiao shears, but he still coldly said, "You have the Xianhuang order, why can't I have the Ting Jiao shears?" Shua! With a tearing sound, the Ting Jiao shears cut through the Xianhuang order. Thousands of inscriptions appeared on the Xianhuang order, and each of these inscriptions looked like a Confucian cultivator and a general. The Ting Jiao shears were sharp and cut the inscriptions in half, but when it landed on the Xianhuang order, it was useless. Oh, so it's only half! The master of Tai Ching Palace finally saw it clearly, and seemed to be relieved. He smiled and said, "If you had the complete Ting Jiao shears, this king might have lost to you. However, if you want to rely on this piece of trash to win against this king, then you must be dreaming. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a reward, and thank you for all your support." Chapter 4599. Fellow cultivator, don't worry, I'll help you. At this moment, he saw a 5-colored cloud appear at the peak of the celestial palace. This cloud contained endless starlight, and a similarly vast origin energy swept over. Wasn't it Wenchu who came on the cloud? Damn it! Supreme Purity Palace Master saw Wenchu flying over and cursed. This Supreme Purity Palace Master didn't come out earlier or later, why did he come out now? This Literature Palace Master has the mysteries of the 5 energies and is studying the riddle of Wenchu. He's a strong opponent right now. This Xiaohua and Bai Gu from earlier will require an Immortal Emperor to personally take them down. At this time, Sun Jian had already teleported in front of Immortal Emperor Go Qin. The Emperor's face was hidden behind the crown, so one couldn't see his expression. However, just by looking at the several hundred strands of fate swimming around him, one could tell that the Emperor was furious. Immortal Emperor Gaochen stood up from his golden throne after seeing the master of the Literature Star Palace. His avatar suddenly expanded as if he wanted to personally take action. "Your Majesty!" Sun Jian shouted. "You're a supreme, how can you personally face the enemy? I'm not talented enough, but I'm here to ask for permission to lead my troops to kill Xiaohua." "Oh?" The Immortal Emperor was obviously stunned. He looked at Sun Jian in confusion, then at Xiaohua and Wenchu, who had turned into a ray of light and descended. "Your Majesty!" Sun Jian didn't have time to send a message and shouted, "Your Majesty, please trust me. As long as you're willing to let me command your troops, I'll be able to get to the bottom of this." Immortal Emperor Gochen didn't know what Sun Jian meant, but when he heard the words, "Get to the bottom of this," he understood. Right when he was about to say something, another explosion came from the palace. Immortal Emperor Gochen's golden throne also emitted a golden light. This golden light flew into the palace and merged with the golden light from the palace. Whoosh! The golden light disappeared and another golden throne appeared next to Immortal Emperor Gochen. It was the East Sea Empress in her palace robe. She sat there with great elegance. However, at this moment, the East Sea Empress' appearance was also obscured by the radiance, and could not be seen. Immortal Emperor Gochen hesitated for a moment when he saw the Eastern Sea Empress. He then sat down and nodded. "You will be in charge of the Immortal Palace's soldiers." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Sun Jian was overjoyed. "Where are Heavenly King Qin Yu and Heavenly King Fu Yu?" The two heavenly monarchs exchanged a perplexed glance upon hearing this. How could they possibly be a match for a Grand Ascension stage human being? However, since Sun Jian personally called them out and they received the order from Immortal Emperor Gochen, the two of them didn't dare to be negligent. They braced themselves and flew out to answer. "We are here, Heavenly Kings." Sun Jian's expression did not change. He raised his hand and pointed at Xiaohua. Xiaohua is a Taoist Mahayana. Although he has cultivated a transcendence golden body, his punches and kicks are inferior. Activate your sub-bodies and attack his lower body. This. Heavenly King Qin Yu and Heavenly King Fu Yu gritted their teeth and hesitated for a moment before cupping their fists. "We understand. Where are the palace guards of the Pupalu Palace, Hualula Palace, Xinyue Palace, Star Sun Palace, and Pure Abode Palace?" Sun Jian randomly assigned the soldiers to attack. Finally, he pondered for a moment before asking, "Where is the Palace Lord of the Divination Hall?" Even Immortal Emperor Gochen was puzzled by Sun Jian's decision to send the Palace Lord of the Divination Hall, let alone Xie Xian himself. However, since he had given Sun Jian the authority to dispatch the soldiers, he couldn't stop him. The Palace Lord of the Divination Hall, Xie Xian, flew out from the shadows and said without batting an eyelid, "I am here. What orders do you have for me, General Sun?" "Palace Lord Xie." Sun Jian didn't issue any orders. Instead, he whispered a few words to Xie Xian. Xie Xian nodded slightly. After Sun Jian finished speaking, Xie Xian actually said, "I understand. Leave this matter to me." With that, Xie Xian's figure flickered. The clouds nearby rippled and he disappeared. "Generals," Sun Jian cupped his fists and said, "the dignity of the Immortal Palace will be determined in this battle. I ask all of you to work together and capture the traitor of the Taoism in front of His Majesty." "Yes." The generals saw that Xie Xian had disappeared and naturally knew that he was the real killer. They were reassured and answered in unison. Then, Sun Jian waved his three-pointed, double-edged saber and led the immortal generals toward Xiaohua on auspicious clouds. "Your Majesty." The East Sea Empress was puzzled and asked in a low voice, "What is General Sun doing? Is he going to fight the Grand Ascension stage human?" "Yes, I'm afraid so." Immortal Emperor Gochen nodded and looked outside the southern heavenly gate. At this time, the heavenly light of the Immortal Palace was actually a bit red. Under this red light, the palace that had stood for billions of years looked a bit desolate. The auspicious auras around the Immortal Emperor, and the blinding golden light from the golden throne couldn't hide the faded color of the palace. Amidst the many clear lights, tens of thousands of immortal generals held their weapons and nervously looked at the palace. Outside of the southern heavenly gate, in the almost boundless space, Xiaohua proudly stood there. The soaring dragon's scissors had returned from the sky. Its golden light dimmed and its cries were miserable. It clearly couldn't do anything. Wen Chu was still a distance away from Xiaohua when he landed. Due to Xiaohua's message, he didn't approach and only cautiously looked around. As for the Grand Purity Palace Master, he had a sneer on his face. He raised his hand and pointed. The profound yellow notice that was even more violent than an army of thousands of soldiers and horses had expanded to 1,000 miles in size and fell toward Xiaohua again. Under the profound yellow notice, all of the worldly origin energy and righteous energy were restrictions. All of the power of space fell into it, as if it fell into a swamp. Even Xiaohua's divine intent couldn't break through the suppression of the profound yellow notice. Hee. Xiaohua looked at the descending profound yellow notice and sneered. He shouted, "Per Hongmeng. That day, he was probably suppressed by you all under such a pincer attack, right? However, today, I'm afraid you all won't be able to have any more wishful thinking." With that, Xiaohua suddenly activated the fury of thunder. The lightning around Xiaohua's body suddenly became sharp and gave birth to a punishment force several times stronger than before. Xiaohua then opened his mouth again. Whoop! The six-colored spirit fire turned into a thunderbolt and shot out. Not only that, Xiaohua raised his left hand and grabbed the void. Countless lightning bolts condensed into the shadow of the Immortal's slaying platform. The six-colored spirit fire swam around the edge of the Immortal's slaying platform. Slash! Xiaohua roared again, and the Immortal's slaying platform in his hand turned into 100 miles in size and slammed into the profound yellow notice. At the same time, with Xiaohua's roar, the sound of thunder was also activated. The sound came later but arrived first, hitting the profound yellow notice like a storm. Pa pa pa! Countless inscriptions on the armor were destroyed by the sound of thunder, and the light of the 1,000-mile profound yellow notice suddenly dimmed by 30%. Just as the master of the Tai Ching Palace was surprised, there was a loud bang. The shadow of the Immortal slaying stage crashed into the mysterious yellow proclamation, hitting where the light and darkness were. Layers of lightning punishment light that were more turbulent than stormy waves pounced on the surface of the mysterious yellow proclamation. The entire profound yellow notice trembled rapidly, and the inscriptions on the armor that hadn't been destroyed before were destroyed by the lightning punishment light again. The previously arrogant light faded and the darkness retreated. A seemingly simple and unadorned list with strange runes finally revealed its true form. Damn it! The Grand Purity Palace Master cursed and hurriedly waved his hands. The two clouds of light and darkness rushed toward the profound yellow notice. At this time, Xiaohua's figure moved again. Under the light and shadow, he rushed to the front of the profound yellow notice faster than teleportation. Xiaohua raised his hand and waved. Break! With a roar, the wishful steel staff was raised and hit the profound yellow notice with a bang. How strong was Xiaohua? How heavy was the wishful steel staff? After the profound yellow notice was destroyed by the fury of thunder, it had revealed its true form. Under the heavy blow of the initial force of the world, the original form fell like broken cotton. Damn it! The Grand Purity Palace Master's heart felt like it was dripping blood. He hurriedly urged the light to retract the profound yellow board, but at that moment, an extremely strange force appeared. It wanted to sever his connection with the profound yellow board. Not good! The Tai Ching Palace Master turned pale with fright as he hurriedly opened his mouth. A vast suction force transformed into sword qi that swept up a corner of the Xianwang board. Shua! The Xianwang board rapidly shrank and fell into the Tai Ching Palace Master's mouth. Ah? Dao! Taoist magic? Xiaohua tried to use his mind to take back the profound yellow notice, but failed. He sensed that the Grand Purity Palace Master had used a Taoist magic in the end. Because this suction force seemed to be sword qi, but it was obvious that this sword qi was somewhat different from the flying swords of Confucian cultivators. As a Taoist Mahayana realm cultivator, Xiaohua could clearly sense it. Taoist Master Xiao! Just as Xiaohua was shocked, Sun Jian had already landed in front of him with many immortal generals. He waved his three-pointed, double-edged sword and shouted, Junior has already asked for the Immortal Emperor's decree. Since you accidentally broke into my Immortal Palace Immortal Domain, it can't be considered an intentional offense. Now you have two choices. One is to bow your head in front of the Immortal Palace Master and admit your mistake, and leave the Immortal Palace Master. The other is to take a blow from my Immortal Palace generals. Xiao Hua looked at Sun Jian with some confusion, waiting for Sun Jian to transmit his voice. Unfortunately, Sun Jian was full of righteousness and didn't show any favoritism. However, at this moment, Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows and glanced at Wen Chu. He sneered at Sun Jian and said, "This old man doesn't know if you're the one who's sick or if I'm the one who's sick. This old man has fellow Taoist Wen Chu and fellow Taoist Heavenly Tao. Even if you had old man Gaochen, your Immortal Palace is still no match for my Fortune Gate. Why should this old man listen to your choice?" After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Sun Jian to speak. He coldly snorted and said, "Fellow Taoist Wen Chu, you can make your move now. Kill." After Wen Chu transmitted his voice to Xiao Hua with his mind, a mysterious smile appeared on his face. He rubbed his hands, and a five-colored hand appeared out of thin air and fell towards the Grand Purity Palace Master. P.S. Thanks to only smoking half of golden Nanjing cigarette. For the tip. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a tip, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4600. Scholar Palace Master, have you thought it through? The Tai Ching Palace Master was a bit confused. He coldly looked at Wen Chu and said, "Are you going to attack this king?" "Not just him." Xiao Hua laughed loudly. "There's also this Xiao." As he spoke, Xiao Hua also rubbed his hands together. A five-colored hand of lightning attacked the Tai Ching Palace Master from another direction. "Generals!" Sun Jian's face turned cold. He ordered, "Attack! Kill!" The immortal generals were helpless. They once again braced themselves and charged forward from all directions. Seeing Heavenly King Qing Yu and Heavenly King Fu Yu pouncing towards Xiao Hua's legs, Lutong Palace, Huala Palace, Xingyue Palace, Xingyang Palace, Jingzhou Palace, and the other palace guards pouncing towards Xiao Hua's arms and other areas, Sun Jian roared loudly. His three-pointed, double-edged blade drew a cold light in the air and chopped towards Xiao Hua's forehead. Sun Jian had only just attacked when he saw Xiao Hua suddenly turn his head. The delusion breaker Dharma eye between his brows suddenly opened. A silver pillar of light shot out from the Dharma eye. With a boom, it shot into the void. "Ah!" A shock scream came from the void. Immediately after, the Tianji Palace Master Xie Xian's figure staggered out of the void. At this moment, there was a bloody hole in Xie Xian's arm. Four-colored Tru Qi rushed out and was healing the wound. Clearly, he was injured by Xiao Hua's delusion breaker Dharma eye. "I'll..." Just as Xie Xian's figure appeared, Sun Jian's shocked cry came. "Tianji Palace Master, dodge!" Xie Xian felt a cold wind in his face. It was Sun Jian's three-pointed, double-edged blade. He didn't have time to think about why Sun Jian called him Tianji Palace Master. His figure quickly flashed as he tried to dodge. But at this moment, the situation suddenly changed. The hand of lightning and five-colored hand that were originally falling towards the Tai Ching Palace Master suddenly changed directions and firmly covered him. "Eh?" The Tai Ching Palace Master was stunned. He looked at Sun Jian in confusion. The two-colored light he activated also condensed and didn't shoot out. "Damn it!" Seeing the space around him being sealed by the giant hand, how could Xie Xian not know that he had fallen into Sun Jian and Xiao Hua's trap? He angrily cursed. The multicolored light around his body blossomed like a scorching sun, and a boundless aura instantly rushed out from the seal of the large hand. "Kacha!" Xiao Hua's hand of thunder and Wen Chu's large hand of five colors unexpectedly cracked at this time. "How is that possible?" The Grand Purity Palace Master was shocked as he growled. "When did Xie Xian reach the 9th grade of essence energy?" "Humph." Just as Xie Xian was about to break free from Xiao Hua and Wen Chu's joint imprisonment, an incomparably dignified voice sounded from afar. "Xie Xian, we trusted you in vain, but you actually did such a despicable thing behind our backs." "Kacha!" Just as Immortal Emperor Gaochun's voice sounded, a sword cry was heard. Immediately after, a phoenix cry and dragon roar resounded. A lifelike son of heaven's sword came out from Xiaohua's hand of thunder. At the edge of the oval sword, the silver sword light still contained 10,000 layers of sword intent. The mountains and rivers, the myriad forms of the world, and the pavilions of the sky were all inscribed chains. The 3 layers of sword intent suddenly soared into the sky and rushed towards the blue dome of heaven. So it really is with you. Immortal Emperor Gaochun's voice was like thunder. A huge pillar of light rushed out from the golden throne like a huge dragon roaring as it pounced over. Seeing the golden pillar of light descending, Xiaohua and Wenchu retreated at the same time. Xie Xian obtained his freedom and heard the yelled, "Your Majesty, what is this?" Unfortunately, before he could finish speaking, the pillar of light had already descended and suppressed the space around Xie Xian. Within the golden light, Xie Xian's body stood there as if it was frozen. On his face, the Son of Heaven's sword in his hand had also turned into a real sword phantom. When Xiaohua and Wenchu attacked Xie Xian at the same time, the celestial being and the Jade Pure Palace Master had already noticed that something was amiss. They both stopped and stood to the side. Seeing Immortal Emperor Gaochun make his move, the Jade Pure Palace Master seemed to understand something. He looked deeply at the phantom of the Son of Heaven's sword inside the golden light, and clasped his hands towards Immortal Emperor Gaochun. "Congratulations, Your Majesty!" "Damn!" The celestial being grinned and said, "Dao friend Xiao, so you didn't come to cause trouble at the Immortal Palace." Heavenly King Qing Yu and Heavenly King Fu Yu were even more alert. When they attacked Xiaohua, they still held back 40% of their strength. When they saw the sudden change, they all retreated. At this time, seeing Immortal Emperor Gaochun personally make a move, they also understood and bowed together. "Your Majesty is wise, congratulations!" On the other hand, the East Sea Empress flew over in a very strange manner. She looked at Xiaohua in confusion, then at Sun Jian. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but stopped. "Jade Pure Palace Master, Tai Pure Palace Master." Sun Jian saw the Immortal Emperor use the golden throne to suppress the Hall Master of Heaven's secret hall, Xie Xian, and his heart calmed. Golden light flashed around his body, revealing his original appearance. He bowed and said, "Junior has offended you just now, please forgive me." You. The Tai Pure Palace Master looked at Sun Jian in surprise and said, "You're already the sage of literature?" It wasn't just the Tai Pure Palace Master. Heavenly King Qing Yu, Heavenly King Fu Yu, and the others were also very shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. "Everyone!" Immortal Emperor Gaochun glanced at Xiaohua and revealed a meaningful smile. He said, "Everything before was set up by this emperor. The goal was to find this heaven-defying thief who secretly took the Son of Heaven's sword's shell. Xiaohua, enlightened Master Xiao, is a good friend of the Wisdom Palace Master. How could he cause trouble at the Southern Heaven's Gate? And the Scholar Palace Master, Wenchu, is the immortal master of our Confucian cultivators. How could he betray the Immortal Palace? Today, Taoist Xiao helped this emperor capture this emperor. This emperor is very grateful, so this emperor will confer upon Taoist Xiao the title of Thunder Master." Immortal Emperor Gaochun didn't ask for Xiaohua's opinion. Instead, he looked at the Tai Pure Palace Master and said with a smile, "Tai Pure Palace Master, you've seen Taoist Zhao's lightning hand. Do you think this title of Thunder Master is suitable? Your Majesty is wise." The Tai Pure Palace Master was also confused, so he could only cup his hands and flatter. "Good." Immortal Emperor Gaochun smiled and said, "This emperor, in the name of the Immortal Palace Master, confer upon Taoist Xiao the title of Thunder Master." What does this have to do with? Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He knew that this was Immortal Emperor Gaochun's imperial technique. Even though he didn't really want to attack the Immortal Palace, his battle with the Tai Pure Palace Master and the Jade Pure Palace Master at the Southern Heavenly Gate would definitely make him famous in the 3 continents. This fame was a naked slap to Immortal Emperor Gaochun's face. No matter what the truth of the matter was, Immortal Emperor Go-Chen couldn't defend himself. But at this moment, Immortal Emperor Go-Chen actually took advantage of Xia Xian's capture to cleverly resolve the crisis with a force of 4 taels to 1,000 jin. He said that this embarrassing farce was deliberately arranged by himself. One had to admit that this Immortal Emperor Go-Chen was truly the master of the Immortal Palace, causing Xiao Hua to feel admiration in his heart. Xiao Hua didn't put the title of Thunder Master in his eyes. He actually had the heart to refuse, but at this moment, after Immortal Emperor Go-Chen finished speaking, one after another, jade-like inscriptions flew out from his mouth. These inscriptions fell in the air and gave birth to countless strange lights and shadows. Where these lights and shadows flashed, the Immortal Palace also faintly trembled. Boom, boom, boom! The sound of thunder rushed out from the Immortal Palace. One after another, the power of an indescribable law transformed into the shape of a crown and fell towards Xiao Hua's body. Xiao Hua was greatly alarmed. Just as he was about to activate his divine ability to stop it, the 5-colored true qi in his body was lively and surging in his middle dantian. Then, like a fountain, it rushed towards the top of his head. Seeing the abnormality of the 5-colored true qi, Xiao Hua knew that this law was not directed at him, so he didn't stop this true qi. However, just as the 5-colored true qi was about to rush out of his body, Xiao Hua suddenly had a thought and hurriedly suppressed the 5-colored true qi. This was because he understood very well that as long as his 5-colored true qi rushed out, Wen Chu would definitely have a reaction. Then, the fact that Wen Chu was his avatar would definitely be exposed in front of Immortal Emperor Go-Chen and the others. Damn it! Xiao Hua secretly cursed. This Immortal Emperor Go-Chen is too cunning! Sure enough, seeing that the crown of light fell on Xiao Hua's head and Wen Chu in the distance not making any movements, Immortal Emperor Go-Chen's eyes unconsciously gave birth to a strange expression. Of course, this expression was blocked by the golden light of the crown, so other people couldn't see it. The light fell on top of Xiao Hua's head and turned into a crown. Just as the crown appeared, boom, boom, boom! Endless thunder and lightning appeared above the Immortal Palace, roaring as if it was congratulating. Congratulations, Taoist Xiao! Seeing this, Sun Jian couldn't help but be overjoyed. He bowed and said, 10,000 thunder and lightning came to congratulate. Taoist Xiao is a true thunder master. While Sun Jian was congratulating, Xiao Hua was even more happy in his heart, because the power of the law didn't just turn into a crown, it also penetrated into Xiao Hua's body and fell into the 5-colored true qi. Under the power of the law, the 5-colored true qi became clearer and clearer, and what surprised Xiao Hua the most was that under this law, the 4 halves of the half-sky heart were actually replenished by 20%. Good! Xiao Hua was happy but also a little depressed. After all, he had received benefits from others, how could he not accept the title of Thunder Master? Thus, Xiao Hua pretended to be in a difficult position, pondered for a moment, and said, This Xiao thanks Immortal Emperor for thinking highly of me, but this Xiao still has a very important matter to ask Your Majesty. I don't know if Your Majesty can, rest assured, Taoist Xiao. Immortal Emperor Go-Chen smiled and said, You are now my Immortal Palace's Thunder Master. Although you are still a Taoist cultivator, as long as it involves the secrets of my Confucian cultivators, I won't answer you. But as for the other things I know, I can answer you. Moreover, this Thunder Master crown can be taken out at will. If you want to reveal your identity, you can just reveal the crown. If you don't want to reveal it, you can naturally keep it in your body. It doesn't have any special effect on you. Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He glanced at the Eastern Sea Empress, and the Empress seemed to have a smile on her face as she slightly nodded at Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua understood, kept the Thunder Master crown, and said, This Xiao wants to ask. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, cast a monthly vote, cast a recommendation vote, collect a collection, reward, and thank all forms of support. Chapter 4601. Unfortunately, before Xiao Hua could finish, Immortal Emperor Go-Chen waved his hand and said, Taoist Xiao, don't worry. Wait until I've dealt with this damn thing, then I'll talk to you. All right. Xiaohua looked at Sun Jian, who nodded slightly. Soon after, Xiaohua moved to the side. The celestial being and Wenchu also moved, forming a triangle with Xiaohua. Everyone! Immortal Emperor Gochen glanced at Heavenly King Qing Yu, Heavenly King Fu Yu, and the others. Although his tone was calm, it carried an inviolable majesty. You all have contributed. When I return to Lingyun Palace, I'll issue a decree. Now all of you can return. Thank you, Your Majesty. Heavenly King Qing Yu, Heavenly King Fu Yu, and the others were overjoyed. After bowing, they flew back to Southern Heaven Gate. At Southern Heaven Gate, Tai Bai Jinxing and the other officials were about to rush over. Seeing that the heavenly kings and immortal generals had all returned and only a few supreme cultivators were left in the sky, they also stopped and quietly waited there. Immortal Emperor Gochen raised his hand and waved. Thousands of karmic luck mixed with inscriptions soared into the sky and covered the surrounding space. Then, his expression turned cold as he angrily rebuked. Xie Xian, think about how much trust one have in you. Not only have I handed the mystery hall to you, I've even placed the safety of my immortal palace in your hands. But how did you treat me? You clearly obtained the outer shell of the Son of Heaven's sword long ago, so why didn't you give it to me? Don't you know that the Son of Heaven's sword is a sacred weapon used by Confucian cultivators to suppress the world? Moreover, you also know that I obtained the true body of the Son of Heaven's sword from the godly devil blood pool. That day, you even vowed to search the world for the outer shell of the Son of Heaven's sword so that I could obtain the complete Son of Heaven's sword. However, I still remember every word you said that day, and your betrayal is like a knife, carved into my heart. I suddenly feel that there's no one in this world that I can trust. Your Majesty. The master of Tai Ching Palace looked at Xie Xian in the golden light and said, Xie Xian seems to have something to say, sigh. Immortal Emperor Gochen sighed. This Xie Xian is truly cunning. Even I don't know when he cultivated to the star realm. Tianji Hall, he must have many secrets that I don't know. Immortal Emperor Gochen's words were a bit ambiguous, but he quickly continued. Master of the Grand Purity Palace, it is not that I don't want to give him a chance to speak, it is that I don't dare to. He knows me too well. I've already suffered a loss before. At this point, Immortal Emperor Gochen told Sun Wu. True Monarch Xingyuan, tell the origin of this matter to the Master of Dual Purity Palace, Your Majesty. He said Sun S's, Sun Z's, goes Ts. He. With, he, and ants. And leaves Btes. Ts. Xiaohua and Sun Jian spent several tens of thousands of years in the heavenly prison. Even the masters of Tai Ching Palace and Jade Pure Palace were dumbfounded. They finally understood why Immortal Emperor Gochen wanted so many immortal generals to leave. Only the masters of Tu Pure Palace, who were Confucian cultivators, knew the terror of the heavenly prison. If those immortal generals knew that Sun Jian and Xiaohua escaped from the heavenly prison and became supreme cultivators, they would enter the heavenly prison like dumplings. At that time, the immortal palaces would be empty. Masters, don't worry! Immortal Emperor Gochen smiled. After we received the news, we immediately rushed to Black Ruins Mountain and personally sealed the entrance. Although that place is rather special, and we might not be able to maintain the seal for long, we will reinforce it regularly in the future. Plus, I'll seal this information so no one will know. Your Majesty's plan is too meticulous. We can't do it. The Master of Jade Pure Palace smiled and replied. Thank you, Master of Jade Pure Palace. Immortal Emperor Gochen was also happy. He pointed at Xie Xian inside the golden light and said, Although I can't let him out, under my seal, I can still use the clear sky mirror to search his soul. Masters, you'll know what happened after you see it. Very good. The Master of Tai Ching Palace nodded in agreement. Immortal Emperor Gochen pointed his finger, and the clear sky mirror fell into the sky. Then, a ray of light like the sun shot out from the clear sky mirror and fell into the golden light pillar, covering Xie Xian. Rumble. A series of thunderbolts erupted from the pillar of light, passing through the golden pillar of light and landing on Xian's body. Illusory figures flew out from the pillar of light, and within those illusory figures, images flashed past. Some of these images were blurry, while others were clear. Some of the images were of Sun Hao killing the true scholar and defeating the Devis in front of Black Ruins Mountain. Damn it! The master of Jade Pure Palace cursed. His calm face actually showed anger. Sun Jing was actually killed by that bastard Xian. No wonder this king couldn't find his whereabouts no matter what. In the images, Xian killed the generals of Black Ruins Mountain. Immortal Emperor Gochen waved his hand and the clear sky mirror fell back into his hand. Immortal Emperor Gochen's expression was cold. He glanced at everyone and asked, Xian deserves 10,000 deaths. I want to kill him. Masters, do you have any objections? No. The master of Jade Pure Palace shook his head. No. The master of Tai Ching Palace also shook his head. When Immortal Emperor Gochen looked at Wen Chu shook her head and replied, No. Good. Immortal Emperor Gochen saw that the palace masters had no objections, so he pointed at the golden throne. Boom! A loud explosion came from the golden throne as it soared into the sky. At this time, the Empress, who was sitting on the other golden throne, also quickly stood up and pointed at the throne as well. That golden throne also fell into the golden light. Immortal Emperor Gochen opened his mouth and a dragon-like cloud fell into the golden throne. The golden throne then turned into the shape of a guillotine. This guillotine was connected like a mountain and emitted buzzing noises as it spun down. The Eastern Sea Empress was not slow either. She also opened her mouth and a phoenix-like cloud fell into the other golden throne. This golden throne then turned into a guillotine with a surging golden light. Whoop! The guillotine as large as a mountain and the guillotine as large as an ocean fell on the golden light. Inscription chains as thin as hair came out from the pillars of golden light and tightly bound Xian's body. Not a single inch was spared. Crack, crack, crack. The guillotine spun and came down with majestic lightning bolts. These lightning bolts emitted an unstoppable destructive intent. All of this mercilessly fell on Xian's body. In the time it took to drink half a cup of tea, the guillotine had completely swallowed Xian's body. Xiaohua also saw clearly that Xian was not only killed by the two golden thrones, but even his soul couldn't escape. Moreover, when the guillotine and the guillotine combined together, didn't it look like an immortal slaying platform? Sigh, Wen Xing of 9th level origin energy. Seeing Xian being mercilessly killed by Immortal Emperor Gochen using the immortal slaying platform, Xiaohua also sighed. Who knows how many years of cultivation and how many hardships he went through, but he was destroyed by a single thought of greed. If he didn't have too many desires and only cultivated with a normal heart, how could he have ended up like this? If Xian was like this, then how could Prince Lan not be like this? Because of this, our Dao sect's emphasis on being emotionless is also reasonable. However, some cultivators are too afraid of being entangled by desires, so they simply cut off all their desires. This is truly a bit excessive. Of course, Xiaohua was only a bit emotional. He didn't sympathize with Xian at all. He was thrown into the heavens prison by Xian. If it wasn't for his heaven-defying luck, how could he still be standing here? After killing Xian, Immortal Emperor Gochen solemnly waved his hand and pulled out the Son of Heaven's sword from his waist. Thousands of auspicious lights rushed out from the sword and fell on the outer shell. The outer shell rushed into the auspicious lights and disappeared for a moment. Afterward, an endless stream of energy rushed out from the immortal palace and entered the Son of Heaven's sword. The sword energy from the Son of Heaven's sword covered the entire palace. Inside, the scriptures quickly flashed and filled the entire space. When Immortal Emperor Gochen clenched his fist, the endless images all fell into his hand and were stored inside the Son of Heaven's sword. Congratulations, Your Majesty! Both Sun Jian and the master of the two pure palaces had excited expressions as they bowed and congratulated him. Congratulations, congratulations as well. Immortal Emperor Gochen put away the Son of Heaven's sword and replied with a smile. Meanwhile, Xiaohua watched as the immortal slaying platform transformed back into two golden thrones, which were kept by Immortal Emperor Gochen and the Eastern Sea Empress respectively. He smiled and asked, Your Majesty, if it's possible, can you answer my question now? Haha, Master Shaolei seems to be very impatient. Immortal Emperor Gochen killed Xie Xian and took the Son of Heaven's sword. He seemed to be very happy. Even though his expression couldn't be seen under the crown, his tone was very friendly. He smiled and said, Master Shaolei is now my Immortal Palace's Master Lei. You even helped me kill the traitor. I still want to hold a big banquet in the Lingyun Palace to ask for Master Lei's reward. Xiaohua looked at the majestic Immortal Palace and smiled. There will be plenty of time in the future to go to the Immortal Palace. Your Majesty, please answer this Zhao's question first. Okay. Immortal Emperor Gochen looked at the two masters of the pure Jade Palace and nodded. Master Shaolei, please speak. I will tell you everything I know. I want to ask. Xiaohua looked at Immortal Emperor Gochen and said word by word. Ninth Princess Xian's whereabouts? At the mention of Xian, Immortal Emperor Gochen's body trembled slightly. Then, he saw the inscriptions on the armor that had already landed on the Emperor's armor suddenly rush out again. Pa pa pa. With a series of chaotic sounds, tens of thousands of inscriptions on the armor exploded in midair. Clusters of sparks rushed into the sky. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote, vote for a recommendation vote, collect it, gift it, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 4602. Your Majesty, my pure Jade Palace still has matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Seeing this, the pure Jade Palace Master bowed slightly and was about to leave. Don't worry, pure Jade Palace Master, Immortal Emperor Gochen said faintly. After I finish speaking, we'll return to the Immortal Palace together. The pure Jade Palace Master was helpless and could only stand there. However, he had already closed his eyes, leaving only one ear here. Xian violated the immortal law and has been imprisoned in the Heaven Punishment Prison Crystal, Immortal Emperor Gochen said coldly. Does Master Shaolei have anything else to ask? Xiaohua looked at Immortal Emperor Gochen with a smile that wasn't a smile and said, Your Majesty seems to know what I want to ask, so there's no need to change the topic. Xiaohua. Immortal Emperor Gochen's tone was even colder as he replied, Where Xian is imprisoned is my decision, it has nothing to do with you. You don't have the right to tell me what to do. Your Majesty. Xiaohua didn't back down and asked forcefully, Your Majesty has already said that as long as it's not a secret of the Immortal Palace, Your Majesty will tell you everything you know. Where Princess Xian is imprisoned doesn't seem to be a secret of the Immortal Palace, right? Moreover, I only want to know where Princess Xian is imprisoned, that's all. Damn it! Immortal Emperor Gochen was furious and turned to East Sea Empress and scolded. East Sea Empress, this is probably your idea, right? You actually dared to collude with the Dao sect behind my back. Your Majesty. East Sea Empress's tone was also cold as she replied. Xian is your flesh and blood after all. Although she violated the immortal law, hasn't it been remedied now? Moreover, your gains are 100 times more than what you lost. Not only did Xian not make any mistakes, she even contributed. Why are you so heartless and not telling me where she is imprisoned? Could it be that your face is more important than Xian's several hundred years of loneliness and punishment? As for colluding, this concubine doesn't dare to accept this word. Presumably, someone in the Medicine Flower Palace is worthy of this word? Master Shaolei came to ask for an audience, but as the master of the Immortal Palace, you actually came out of the Medicine Flower Palace. Hearing that East Sea Empress actually came to the Medicine Flower Palace Master, Xiaohua was slightly stunned. He hastily learned to hide to listen to the Flower Palace Master. When he looked at Sun Jian again, he felt a little embarrassed. Humph! Immortal Emperor Gochen snorted and interrupted her before she could finish. His voice was somewhat hysterical as he roared. That's right, I've hardened my heart. So what? On the day of the Heaven's Choice Assembly, how many chances did we give Xian? As long as she tells me Tian Xian's whereabouts, we will definitely not punish her. But what about her? In front of the Mahavairakana world-revered one, in front of the golden-winged Great Ping, in front of the many family heads who came to congratulate him, he shattered his dignity. For the sake of the Immortal Palace, I racked my brains every day, thinking hard about how to appease the 4 aristocratic families and how to play with the Buddhism sect and the demon clan. Relying on your favor, you didn't put me in your eyes and made me unable to get out of the embarrassing situation. The awkwardness that day. It's not like you didn't see it. You only knew how to beg bitterly. Did you think of my feelings? Have you ever thought of Ching Ching and Miao Miao? Now look at you. You actually joined forces with Dao sect cultivators to force me. Do you still treat me as the master of the Immortal Palace in your eyes? At this point, he looked at Xiaohua and said, Xiaohua, and you. I don't know how Xian gave that half Tian Xian to you. However, since you took Tian Xian, you should know how important Tian Xian is to Xian. You are only a Dao sect cultivator. What use do you have for Tian Xian? Don't tell me you didn't have any other thoughts that day. You wanted to use Tian Xian to force me to do something. However, it's good that we had good fortune. When Chu appeared by your side, Tian Xian used his hand to return the 5 Qis unifications technique to my Immortal Palace. Today, you forced the Immortal Palace, we didn't pursue your crimes. This is already not bad. You actually dare to interrogate us. Seeing Immortal Emperor Gochen turning hostile like flipping a book and immediately denying him after gaining the upper hand, Xiaohua was also helpless. He said faintly, It's naturally useless for me to take Tian Xian. But Tian Xian. I can't return it to Xian. Xian also didn't tell me how important Tian Xian is. You naturally can't take it out. As long as Tian Xian touches it, it will definitely fuse together. How can you take it out? Immortal Emperor Gochen said coldly. This is Xian's sorrow. So, Xiaohua raised his head and said, I'm coming. I'm going to erase this sorrow. What? Immortal Emperor Gochen sat up from his golden chair and roared. If we didn't tell you, would you have entered the Immortal Palace? Why not? Xiaohua also sneered. Previously, I didn't have the strength. Now, I can. Son. At this time, East Ocean Empress also stood up. After saying one word, she changed her words. Your Majesty, you have changed. You have really changed. You have changed so much that I don't dare to recognize you. There is no one in this world who doesn't change. We are changing, you are changing, Xian is also changing. However, your changes can't catch up to us. That's why you said we have changed. Immortal Emperor Gochen said and pointed at Xiaohua. Isn't he also changing? Previously, he was just a small Dao sect cultivator struggling at death's door in hidden Immortal continent. Now, he can be arrogant in front of us and point at us to interrogate us. East Ocean Empress shook her head in disappointment. You are wrong. When I said change, I wasn't talking about this change. Their change is a happy change, but your change is cold. Change is change. There is no difference in nature. Immortal Emperor Gochen replied. For the Immortal Tao, all changes are worth it. Yes, for the Immortal Tao. East Ocean Empress sighed. I can abandon my family and bloodline. After saying this, East Ocean Empress patted her golden chair and turned into a golden light that rushed into the Immortal Palace. Under the golden light, 2 pearl-like tears shone with despair. Your Majesty, you really won't tell us? Xiaohua watched East Ocean Empress leave and looked at Immortal Emperor Gochen with lightning eyes. You want to attack? Immortal Emperor Gochen sneered. I'm not afraid of you knowing. Now that I have the Son of Heaven's sword, I have already surpassed the shackles of the 3 continents. Although you are a human Mahayana realm cultivator, you are still not us match. If you could activate the Son of Heaven's sword right now, would you still be here wasting time with me? Xiaohua retorted. Humph. Immortal Emperor Gochen snorted again. He raised his hand and pointed. The clear sky mirror flew out again, and a pillar of golden light fell from the sky. You have a good plan. Xiaohua sneered and said, Do you think I am Xia Xian? Your imperial treasure that can restrain Confucian cultivators is not us match. While saying this, Xiaohua rolled up his Taoist robe and took out the Kunlun mirror. The Kunlun mirror also flashed with a 9-colored pillar of light and shot towards the golden light. Rumble, pa pa pa. Amidst the loud rumbling, the sound of shattering could be heard. Whether it was the golden light or the 9-colored pillar of light, they were all shattered. Even the space between the Kunlun mirror and the clear sky mirror started to distort strangely. Where this distortion landed, a hole appeared on the surface of the Kunlun mirror and the clear sky mirror, and a powerful suction force came from this hole. Damn it! Seeing the suction force from Xiaohua's Kunlun mirror that was beyond his control, Immortal Emperor Gochen did not dare to be careless. He quickly raised his hand and slapped his golden chair. Woo! A golden light flew down and covered the clear sky mirror. Xiaohua was even more shocked. He quickly opened his mouth and a green light rushed out and covered the Kunlun mirror. Return. Xiaohua saw the suction force decrease and immediately used his mind to put the Kunlun mirror into the space. Immortal Emperor Gochen also understood and used the golden light to tell Xiaohua about the clear sky mirror. Your Majesty. Sun Jian saw this and quickly bowed. The 9th princess has violated the immortal law, but Your Majesty has already punished her. Didn't Your Majesty say it already? The heavens used the master of the Palace of Literature to give Your Majesty the 5 energies origin technique, giving Your Majesty a weapon to subdue all the Confucian cultivators in the world. Now that Master Xiaohua came to the Immortal Palace, didn't the heavens also use Master Xiaohua to save the 9th princess and also to fulfill Your Majesty's familial love? Sun Jian's excuse came at the right time. Immortal Emperor Gochen pondered for a moment and looked at Xiaohua. Master Xiaohua, I won't hide it from you. I have already agreed to the marriage proposal of the Nangong family in the Lingyun Palace, Your Majesty. Sun Jian was a little surprised and blurted out. How come I don't know about this? If I let you know everything, won't the Empress stay in the Lingyun Palace every day? Immortal Emperor Gochen scolded with a gentle tone. Sun Jian quickly bowed and asked for forgiveness. I know my mistake. Your Majesty, please forgive me for my difficulties. Sigh, if I don't forgive you, how could I let you know? Immortal Emperor Gochen sighed and said, If you all have difficulties, do you think I don't have any difficulties? Do you think I am willing to agree to the marriage proposal of the Nangong family? Do you think I am not willing to announce this happy event in the Lingyun Palace? Yes, your humble servant understands. How could Sun Jian understand? He was only carefully agreeing. Master Xiaohua, I am not afraid of you laughing at me. Immortal Emperor Gochen looked to the left and said, I am an immortal emperor who is only a figurehead. The 4 great clans are powerful and the 100 schools of thought are not convinced. Although my school of the military controls the immortal palaces and protects the fate of the Confucian cultivators, I feel like I am being roasted on a fire every day. The demons in the 1,000 demon sacred realm are very powerful. The Grand Saint of Starry Sky is in the Great Sage Hall. Perhaps not long after, the demons will launch a large-scale invasion. Although the Pure Land is inhabited by the human race, the Buddhist sect is prosperous. That oppressive Buddhist light always wants to fall on my hidden immortal continent. Sutra seeking extreme bliss, Sutra seeking extreme bliss. If it wasn't because I was powerless to stop it, how could I create this gimmick? Luckily, the Buddhist sect is undergoing a great change. Buddha Maitreya has rebelled from the Thunder Sound Temple and is temporarily residing in this snowy mountain. Ah? Xiaohua was shocked and shouted. When did Buddha Maitreya rebel from the Thunder Sound Temple? Immortal Emperor Gochen did not answer Xiaohua. Instead, he continued, "It is also at this time that the master of the literature palace descended from the heavens. My immortal palaces have the strength to play games. I do not want to lose this opportunity. Therefore, Master Xiaohua, I have no choice but to ally with the Nangong family and borrow the 5-Qi unifying art to unify the Confucian cultivators in the world. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a monthly vote, vote for a recommendation vote, bookmark, gift. Thank you for all forms of support." Chapter 4603. Immortal Emperor Gochen's words were emotional, but Xiaohua knew that this was only Immortal Emperor Gochen's method of ruling. He wanted to retort, but seeing that Immortal Emperor Gochen seemed to be relenting, he went along with Immortal Emperor Gochen's words and said, "Your Majesty's hard work, I can understand it. Just controlling the Fortune Gate already gives me a headache, not to mention Your Majesty controlling the hidden Immortal Continent. So..." Immortal Emperor Gochen nodded and said, "Master Shaolei must understand me. I also said the same thing to the Nangong family in the Lingyun Palace. If you want to marry the 9th princess, you can. However, you have to show me your strength and save the 9th princess with your own strength." Now, other than the Nangong family, the Dongfang family, Shimen family, and Baiming family have also formally proposed marriage with the other 3 princesses. Hee, do you think I don't know what they are thinking? Don't they all want the 5-energy unification technique? However, these 4 families are indeed places that my 4 princesses can be entrusted to. I gave the Nangong family a difficult problem to let the other 3 families see that my princesses are not to be casually married. I would rather bear a bad name and let others and family see me as a cold-blooded person to find someone worthy of my princess's trust. And Xian is even more so. Immortal Emperor Gochen's golden chair emitted a golden light, and a shadow rushed into the sky. Immortal Emperor Gochen's voice finally came. "That's all I have to say. If Master Shaolei doesn't believe me, you can fight your way to the Lingyun Palace. Oh, Scholar Palace Master, I know you have a good relationship with Master Shaolei. You can follow Master Shaolei to the hidden Immortal Continent to search. This subject respectfully sends off Your Majesty." Sun Jian's cultivation was the lowest among them. Seeing that Immortal Emperor Gochen had said all he needed to say, he hurriedly bowed and said. As Immortal Emperor Gochen flew away, the golden light in front of the palace disappeared, and the guards could see the situation inside again. At this time, Xiaohua looked at Immortal Emperor Gochen's flying figure and felt helpless in his heart. Immortal Emperor Gochen said so much, but it was all nonsense. He didn't reveal where Xian was imprisoned. But all this nonsense was to tell Xiaohua, how could the princess of the Immortal Palace be easy to marry? If you want to marry the new princess, then you have to show your strength and find out where the new princess is imprisoned. After all, the Nangong clan also didn't obtain any useful information from Immortal Emperor Gochen. Damn it, I messed around in the Immortal Palace for half a day, but I didn't even take a single step into the southern heavenly gate. Xiaohua gnashed his teeth in hatred as he inwardly cursed. Furthermore, I can't say anything. He was trying to find a reliable lover for his daughter. No wonder he could become an immortal emperor, while I can't even be the Fortune Gate's gate chief. Fellow Celestial Immortal, thank you for your skill. If there is a chance, we will spar again in the future. Farewell. The Jade Pure Palace Master was the first to bid farewell. He nodded at the Celestial and left on the purple cloud. The Celestial being also put on a good show and said, "The Lord of the Jade Pure Palace is very powerful. I also admire you greatly." On the other hand, the Grand Purity Palace Master wasn't in a hurry to leave. He looked at Xiaohua and said calmly, "Master Xiaohua, I was a little reckless today." "Sigh, it's fine." What else could Xiaohua say? They were both supreme cultivators of the human race. Although there was a difference between Confucianism and Taoism, they were already very close to the final step. Their previous battle wasn't particularly desperate, so he could only wave his hand and say such words. Actually, I'm curious about, why can't Master Xiaohua enter the profound yellow list? The Grand Purity Palace Master said again. This profound yellow list was refined by the ancient purple micro-immortal emperor using an immortal imperial artifact. Previously, it was used to record the rankings of the experts of the Confucian, Buddhist, Taoist, and demon races. It was only used after Taoism declined that it was used. Therefore, as long as one hasn't transcended the laws of the three continents, one can enter the profound yellow list. This King Ken, the Jade Pure Palace Master Ken, Immortal Emperor Gochen, the Seven Sages, the Mahavairakana World Lord, the Dipankara Archaic Buddha World Lord, and the Maitreya Buddha World Lord can all enter. Why can't you? Xiaohua bitterly smiled and rubbed his nose. How would I know? I'm afraid I'll have to trouble the Grand Purity Palace Master to ask the Purple Micro-Immortal Emperor about this. Forget it. The Grand Purity Palace Master bitterly smiled. This king is too stubborn. If Master Xiaohua isn't willing to say, then so be it. This Xiao really doesn't know. Xiaohua spoke the truth. However, the Grand Purity Palace Master didn't seem to believe him, and only cupped his hands, saying, This king will take his leave. If you have time in the future, Master Xiaohua can come to my Grand Purity Palace with the Literature Stream Palace Master as a guest. Although there are differences between Confucianism and Taoism, this king doesn't look down on Taoism too much. All right, I hope such a day will come. Xiaohua had already seen the Grand Purity Palace Master's Taoism cultivation. He wasn't surprised by his words and only cupped his hands, sending off the Grand Purity Palace Master who had caused trouble. Master Xiaohua! After everyone left, Sun Jian bowed and said, This junior really didn't expect you to receive the title of Master Xiaohua the moment you came to the Immortal Palace. This junior is very envious. Damn it! Xiaohua didn't feel any pressure facing Sun Jian. He smiled, saying, Your Immortal Emperor's schemes are truly formidable. This Xiao really isn't his opponent. Sigh, if there wasn't such an Immortal Emperor, how could my military school control the entire Immortal Palace? Sun Jian thought of what he saw in the Immortal Palace and sighed. Actually, there are some things that he might not be willing to do. For example, Master Xiaohua. If Senior didn't force him here, how could he give the title of Master Xiaohua to Senior? Senior, put yourself in his shoes. How much determination would he need to give a Taoism cultivator the title of Master Xiaohua of the Immortal Palace? Yes, this is also the reason why this Xiao didn't force him too much in the end. Xiaohua also sighed. However, a moment later, Sun Jian bowed again and said, Of course, if Master Xiaohua didn't come today, this junior wouldn't be able to kill my enemy. This matter, I still have to thank Master Xiaohua. Xiaohua hurriedly supported Sun Jian and said with a smile, You and I don't need to be polite. This Xie Xian is our common enemy. This matter, this Xiao also has to thank Immortal Emperor Gochen. If it wasn't for his immortal slaying platform, we wouldn't have been able to kill a 9th grade Wenxing. Indeed. Sun Jian nodded. His Majesty's immortal slaying platform is most useful for Confucian cultivators, but it doesn't have much effect on Taoists and Buddhists. It is said that the Grand Mist Ancestor escaped from this immortal slaying platform that day. Forget it. Xiaohua flicked his sleeve and said, This old man will take his leave. You should return to the Immortal Palace and keep an eye on the Flower Medicine Palace. Don't let that Immortal Emperor who was driven crazy by Empress Dowager fool around. This old man still has to think about how to find Xian's whereabouts. Sun Jian was slightly embarrassed, but he still carefully said, The Fortune Gate might not be as good as the Nangong family. Master Xiaohua might as well follow the Nangong family. It was possible before, but I'm afraid it won't be possible now. Xiaohua said with a smile. The Immortal Palace is in trouble, and Master Xiaohua's title has been confirmed. Who knows what other people will say about today's matter in the hidden Immortal Continent? The Nangong family will definitely know. That might not be the case. Sun Jian shook his head and said, Only the master of the Two Purity Palace knows about what Master Xiaohua said. There's no such thing as an impenetrable wall in this world. Xiaohua said with a bitter smile. Don't forget, there's still the Empress who isn't any worse than the Immortal Emperor. This old lady only wants to save the 9th princess. As for who she saves, she might not care. Empress. Sun Jian wanted to defend the East Sea Empress, but when he thought about it, the East Sea Empress was indeed using Xiaohua. He smiled apologetically and said, They are elders after all, it's not good for this junior to comment. Then don't comment, Xiaohua said with a smile. Quickly returned to the Sun Palace. Right now, there must be many immortal generals gathered in front of your palace. This can't be helped, there are ways of the world everywhere. Sun Jian's face also revealed a bitter smile. Xiaohua looked around and said with a smile, It wasn't easy for this old man to find the Immortal Palace. Is it very difficult to leave the Immortal Palace? Now that Senior is already the Lightning Master of the Immortal Palace, it will be very easy to find the Immortal Palace in the future. There won't be any obstructions if you leave now. Sun Jian said respectfully. If Senior is not familiar, then this junior will send Senior out. It's better if you send me out, Xiaohua said with a smile. Let this old man walk by himself, maybe I'll even find the Flower Medicine Palace. Xiaohua's words were naturally a joke. After Sun Jian accompanied Xiaohua out of the space where the Immortal Palace was, Xiaohua didn't dare to be negligent and asked Wen Chu in a low voice. Fellow Immortal, when did the Maitreya Buddha betray the Thunder Temple? I don't know, I'm afraid it's about when fellow Immortal entered the Star Moon Palace. Wen Chu shook her head. Xiaohua thought for a moment and said, There must be a reason why the Maitreya Buddha betrayed the Thunder Temple. We should go and take a look. However, right now, the Little Linglong Temple in the Great Snow Mountain must be the center of attention. It's too eye-catching for us to go there now, we can only wait until later. Right now, the most important thing is to find where Xian is imprisoned with the Heaven Punishment Prison Crystal. I caused a ruckus in the Immortal Palace. It's been almost a year on the hidden Immortal Continent. I don't know if the Nangong family has gotten any more information. Let's return to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range first. Wen Chu pondered for a moment and said, Since we might have to go against the Nangong family, let the Fortune Gate's disciples take action. All right. Xiaohua agreed and said with a smile, Fellow Immortal and Diviner returned to the space first. I have some gains in the Star Moon Palace, and fellow Immortal also benefited from it. Xiaohua had already told Wen Chu about the tricolored cloud and Xian Hong's law discussion. Wen Chu laughed and said, Haha, very good. This young man thanks fellow Immortal. This young man will return to the space and listen to the heavenly Tao and Karma law discussion. Xiaohua released his divine sense and looked around. Knowing that there was no one around, he shook the Kunlun mirror and put Wen Chu and Diviner away. Then, he released Fujiwen, Bayan, and the Pegasus flying chariot to bring him back to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, give a monthly vote, a recommendation vote, a gift, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4604. Along the way, Xiaohua did not hide anything and told Fujiwen about the Immortal Palace. Fujiwen was speechless, and Bayan's expression changed several times. Then, Bayan lowered his head as if he was thinking about something. On the other hand, Xiaohua closed his eyes and rested as if he had a card up his sleeve. Fujiwen was also surprised, so he urged the Pegasus to fly towards the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. In less than a day, Xiaohua returned to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Xian Songzi, Taoist Jingting, and the other disciples came out to welcome him. Currently, no one dared to covet the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Within a few thousand li radius, there were Fortune Gate disciples patrolling the area. Xiaohua alighted from the flying carriage and sat on the jade chair in the Fortune Gate Palace. Below the high platform, Yuanya, Fujiwen, Wang Bianfei, Chan Yuan, Yu Zhongquan, and the other inner disciples stood to the left. Xian Songzi, Taoist Jingting, Ao Zhantian, Su Tingzi, and the other outer disciples stood to the right. Below the two rows of disciples were other Fortune Gate disciples, such as Gong Shuisin, Gong Shu Yiming, and Mo Jianli. Zhang Daoran, Jai Xingzi, Sun Kong, and the others stood behind these disciples. As for the loyal Black Bear Spirit, he stood in front of the group of disciples, closest to the high platform. Xiaohua sat down, raised his hand and patted the top of his head. Boom! Another 10,000 thunderbolts rushed up to the sky, enveloping the sky of the soaring Dragon Mountain range. All the disciples bowed and saluted. Disciples greet the head elder! Their voices reverberated in the air above the Fortune Gate Palace, and the Black Bear Spirit's voice was the loudest. Sect Master? Xiaohua was stunned and asked curiously. What's the reason for this? Why are you suddenly calling me Master? Master, the title of Sect Master is something that disciple discussed with Bayan on the way back. After discussing it with the other senior and junior brothers, everyone felt that it was appropriate. Fu Jiwen calmly walked out and bowed. There are 4 reasons for the Sect Master's words. First, there's a record in the middle treatise. The previous emperor appointed instructors, and the Sect Master taught the 6 virtues. This is the origin of the title of Sect Master. In other words, it means to be in charge of teaching. My master is my Fortune Gates professor, and all cultivation techniques are taught by my master. He is worthy of the title of Sect Master. Secondly, our Fortune Gate is now divided into 2 parts. The Shao country has already been established, and junior brother Lan is the grand preceptor of the Shao country. On the other hand, the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's Fortune Gate has already been established. With Master as the gate chief, wouldn't his position be the same as junior brother Lan? Therefore, Shifu should appoint junior martial brother Li Xiang or junior martial brother Xiongyi as the sect leader. Shifu should be in charge of a country or a sect, he should be the sect leader. Thirdly, now that the Dao sect has fallen, Master used his own strength to create the Dao sect. The Dao sect stood side by side with the Confucian cultivators, the Buddhist sect, and the demon race. They were the inheritances of the human race. His master was naturally called the Sect Master. Fourthly, as the Dragon Master of the Dragon Island and the Lightning Master of the Immortal Palace, Master has a noble status and is worthy of the title of Sect Master. If you're talking about an illusion, I do know about it. But what about this great master? Xiaohua asked with interest. What kind of story is this? Hee, great master. The Black Bear Spirit hurriedly laughed. This is what this little one said. Previously, senior martial brother Fu only said Sect Master, but this little one felt that Sect Master was not intimate enough, so it was better to call him Great Master. Then, Shifu. At this time, Wang Bianfei also walked out with a smile and bowed. Since Shifu is Great Master, then what about Martial Uncle Lei Ting? Martial Uncle Wenxiu? Isn't it second Great Master or third Great Master? Therefore, this disciple suggested calling Shifu Great Master. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He looked at his disciple and waved his hand, saying, Our Dao sect, Confucianism, Buddhism, and demons exist side by side, naturally we can be called a sect. But with the decline of the Dao sect in the hidden immortal mainland, although we have a certain status, compared to the real Dao sect, we are still insignificant. If this great master was heard by others, we would be mocked as a frog at the bottom of a well. Don't mention this again in the future. Shifu. Fu Jiwen didn't agree with Xiaohua's opinion and said respectfully, This disciple doesn't think so. That immortal Emperor Go Chen's strength is similar to Shifu's, and Mahavairakana is also not much stronger than Shifu. Even the golden-winged Great Ping, didn't it also lose to Shifu? They can call themselves immortal emperors, world sovereigns, and great sages, so why can't Shifu call himself Great Master? Moreover, only when Shifu is Great Master can Junior Martial Brother Lan and Junior Martial Brother Xiongyi be good sect masters. Only then can we disciples spread our branches and spread our leaves. Senior Xiao. At this time, Zhai Xingzi also came out and said respectfully, Senior Martial Brother Fu Jiwen is right. Currently, Senior is the leader of our Dao sect, and your position determines the development of our Dao sect. Only the title of Great Master is suitable for Senior's identity. Moreover, I think that since the primordial chaos ancestor can call himself an ancestor, then Senior can naturally call himself the sect master. Only an open, upright, and broad-minded person like Senior is worthy of being the sect master of my Dao sect. Listening to everyone's words, Xiaohua inwardly pondered. Everyone's words were reasonable. Perhaps he was indifferent to fame and fortune, and didn't like these titles, but he couldn't block the path of others because of this. If he didn't elevate himself, how could Xiongyi, Fujiwen, and the others have the space to display their abilities? What would others think of his fortune gate? If he didn't follow good advice, there might be a second or third Lan Prince appearing. Good. Xiaohua nodded. In that case, Shifu can also reluctantly be Great Master. Greetings, Sect Master. All the disciples were overjoyed. Just as Xiaohua was about to raise his hand to help the group of disciples up, he heard the lightning reverent call out from within the space. He, fellow Taoist Xiao, if you are the head elder, then am I the second head elder? He. Xiaohua laughed inwardly. I won't say anything about this matter. Let's hear what the disciples have to say. Good. The lightning immortal, Wen Chu, and the others cheered in the space. Good disciples. After waiting for all the disciples to stand up, Xiaohua said with a smile. You all pushed your master to the peak of the limelight of the head elder, then how do you and the other martial uncles rank? Shifu, don't be impatient. Wang Bianfei was the most quick-witted, and hurriedly said with a smile. Disciples have already come to a conclusion on this matter, but Shifu, please explain to your martial uncles that you are the same as Shifu, you can also be Great Master. But since you are in the Fortune Gate, you can only have Shifu as the Great Master. The other martial uncles are not ranked first or last, they can only be addressed differently. Let's hear it. Xiaohua asked with interest. Wang Bianfei respectfully said. The Kunlun Paradise's Fortune Gate was first established by Martial Uncle Lei Ting. If Shifu is Great Master, then Martial Uncle Lei Ting is Second Master. Hearing this, Xiaohua waved his hand, and the Kunlun mirror flew out and landed above his head. A light pillar flickered, and the lightning immortal walked out from the Kunlun mirror. We disciples greet the second elder of the sect. Wang Bianfei was overjoyed, and he led his fellow disciples to kneel. Zhai Xingzi and the others were confused, but when they saw another Grand Ascension stage human cultivator walk out, they were ecstatic. Ha, good disciples, stand up. It's good that you didn't forget this old man. This second master, this old man is very fond of you. The lightning immortal cared about his face the most, and when he heard his disciples calling him second master, leaving Wen Chu and the other clones behind, he was overjoyed. He laughed heartily as he helped his disciples up, and with a wave of his hand, a jade bottle appeared in front of each of them. The lightning immortal casually took out a jade chair and sat to Xiaohua's left. He smiled and said, This is a pill refined by this old man, and it has nothing to do with cultivation techniques. Take it. Many thanks, Second Master. All the disciples were overjoyed, and after expressing their gratitude, they accepted the pills. Xiaohua smiled and said, You are generous. I's disciples, I will naturally be generous. The lightning immortal's face was filled with joy, and he looked at his disciples with benevolence in his eyes. Fujiwen took another step forward and said respectfully, Master, Martial Uncle Wen Chu also put in a lot of effort when building the Fortune Gate. He should be the third master. Ha. The Kunlun mirror shook again, and Wen Chu stepped out from the light pillar. He laughed and said, I am the third master. Disciples greet third master. All the disciples were of the same cultivation level, but those who cultivated Confucianism were more respectful. This is the literary star that the sect master was talking about, Gusuchiodi exclaimed when she saw Wen Chu's unfathomable cultivation. She immediately recalled Xiaohua's words. Not bad, little girl. Wen Chu laughed and said, This old man is not only the third master of the Fortune Gate, but also the owner of the Literature Palace. When I have time, this king will personally go to the Gusa family to propose marriage as the owner of the Literature Palace. Junior thanks the third master. Gusichodi was so happy that tears flowed down her cheeks. You can all get up! Wen Chu also took out a jade chair and sat beside Xiaohua. He raised his hand and helped all the disciples up. Not to mention Gusichodi, even Gong Shuisin, Gong Shu Yiming, and Mo Jianli were pleasantly surprised. They were brought back to the soaring Dragon Mountain range after coming out from the Star Moon Palace. Although the Fortune Gate also had Confucianism disciples, these disciples' strength far surpassed the three of them. The three of them didn't know which disciple Xiaohua would find to be their master, and they were anxious every day. Today, seeing Wen Chu come out, how could they not know that this was the master that Xiaohua had found for them? How many people in this world could become the Literature Palace's master's disciple? Sure enough, Xiaohua smiled faintly and looked at the three disciples, saying, Gong Shuisin, Gong Shu Yiming, and Mo Jianli, quickly come and greet your master. Yes, first master. The three of them answered and hurriedly walked out. They knelt below the high platform and respectfully said to Wen Chu, Disciples greet master! P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4605. And stand up! Wen Chu nodded. The sect master has already told me about the three of you. Master will accept you into the sect now. Fortune Gate's disciples have no taboos, except for one, killing one's own brothers. Yes, disciple will remember. The three of them hurriedly agreed. Wen Chu continued, Since there are several sect masters in our Fortune Gate, master can be considered your master. The other masters are also your masters. Not only can you ask them to teach you, but you must also treat them with the same respect as master. Yes. The three of them answered and stood to the side. After Wen Chu accepted Gong Shuisin, Gong Shu Yiming, and Mo Jianli, Fu Jiwen spoke again. However, he hesitated and did not finish his sentence. This fourth master should be that martial uncle, right? That's right. Xiaohua nodded. He has boundless benevolence in his heart, and is the kindest. He is qualified to be the fourth master. Venerable Master Sun Kong and the others were bewildered. They did not know what the Fortune Gate's disciples were talking about, but looking at the respectful expressions on their faces, they knew that this fourth master was a person of virtue and prestige. We greet the fourth master from afar. The Black Bear Spirit's eyes turned, and he bowed. Fu Jiwen and the others nodded in agreement. However, before they could get up, Xiaohua's face lit up. He looked outside the Fortune Dao Palace, and sure enough, there was a strong gust of wind outside the Fortune Dao Palace. A wave of starlight energy fell like a tsunami, and a loud voice rang out. F***ck, this saint was only delayed for a moment, and that little monk actually took the fourth master's position. Haha, fellow Taoist has returned at the right time. Since Xiaohua knew, the lightning Taoist and Wen Chu naturally knew as well. Everyone smiled as they looked outside. Swoosh! A streak of starlight flashed, and Starry Sky Great Sage Feng Wu's figure appeared on the stage. Feng Wu had just stabilized himself when he flapped his wings, and the white lion and golden condor flew out and landed beside the Black Bear Spirit. The Black Bear Spirit was overjoyed, and he hurriedly saluted respectfully. Disciple greets the fifth master! Disciple greets the fifth master! Fu Jiwen and the others did not dare to delay and saluted as well. Starry Sky Great Sage! John Daoran felt a little dizzy. The Demonic Beast Clan's #1 master, the Great Holy Temple's #1 Great Saint, is the Fortune Gate's fifth Old Master. Then what about the Sect Master's fourth Old Master? Little monk. When he thought up to here, Zhang Daoran came to an understanding. However, he knew that even if he died, he wouldn't tell anyone about this understanding. Supervoid Great Sage Feng Wu glanced at the people beside Xiaohua. She swaggered over to a jade chair and sat down. She smiled and said, Fortunately, we returned in time. Those people still haven't come out. Then, Supervoid Great Sage Feng Wu waved her hand and helped the disciples up. Immediately after, she bestowed a demon fruit to each disciple. Fellow Taoist, why did you suddenly return to the soaring Dragon Mountain range? Xiao Hua asked with a smile when he saw Feng Wu sitting down. You should be comprehending profundities in the Great Sage Hall right now. I heard that the Star Moon Palace had been closed. Knowing that you had returned, I specially came to take a look. Feng Wu smiled and said, Fellow Taoist, wherever you go, you don't come empty-handed. I'm sure you've left some benefits for me, right? Ugh. Xiao Hua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, You have a good idea. You want to plunder I before returning to the Great Sage Hall to comprehend. The profundities in the Great Sage Hall are all at the peak of the 3 continents. Feng Wu shook her head and said, If you want to comprehend deeper, you'll have to go deeper into the Great Sage Hall. That's a place that none of the great sages in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm have ever entered. I don't know, so I don't want to go in for the time being. Fine. Xiao Hua flicked his sleeve and handed the palm-sized starfish-like object to Feng Wu. When Feng Wu saw the strange fine lines on the surface of the object and sensed layers of indescribable fluctuations between these fine lines, she couldn't help but be overjoyed. She opened her mouth and swallowed the object. She smiled and said, This poor Taoist is relying on this object to break through the void. Yes, there are also some secret techniques for becoming a god. Xiao Hua said with some pride. Wait until we enter the space. I'll ask fellow Taoists Tian Dao and Karma to teach you these. Good. Hearing this, Feng Wu was overjoyed but also calm. She closed her eyes and sat on the jade chair, comprehending the fluctuations of the strange object. Seeing that Xiao Hua was talking to Feng Wu through voice transmission and didn't say anything, all the disciples were silent. When Feng Wu closed her eyes, Chang Yuan stepped out and bowed. Martial Uncle Wu's abilities are mysterious and unfathomable. You should be the 6th elder. Good. Xiao Hua nodded. He pointed at the Kunlun mirror and Taoist Wu flew out in a flash of green light. Who is this? Is he also a supreme cultivator of our human race? Gusuchioti was dumbfounded. She naturally didn't know Taoist Wu's strength, but when she saw Taoist Wu's gaze sweep over her, she felt that she couldn't retaliate. She already knew that Taoist Wu's strength was unfathomable. Chang Yuan led the Fortune Gate's disciples and bowed. Disciples greet the 6th elder. Rise. Taoist Wu didn't care about the false reputation. He waved his hand and signaled the disciples to rise. He said indifferently, It's rare that you still remember me. I thought you would put me last. Who asked you to have so few disciples to teach? Xiao Hua smiled and said, Today's ranking is all because of your disciples. I don't care, but don't forget about the other one. Taoist Wu sat down and said indifferently. Xiao Hua nodded and said, You're right. This fellow Taoist is probably the strongest. He should be the 2nd elder. Lightning Reverend curled his lips and said, He is strong and has many disciples. But his luck isn't good. Lui, Jianghong, and the other dragons have all returned to the heavenly abode river. Yuanya hurriedly bowed and said, Master, Martial Uncle Kuang should be the supreme leader, 7th elder. Before he could finish his words, an aura that made all the disciples prostrate themselves rushed out from the light pillar of the Kunlun mirror. Taoist Yun had shrunk into his human form and flew out. The oppressive aura around him rushed out uncontrollably. I have come to lend you a hand. Xiao Hua smiled and waved his hand. A lightning ring fell above Taoist Yun's head. Strands of lightning fell from the ring and blocked Taoist Yun's oppressive aura. The group of Fortune Gate disciples breathed out in relief and bowed respectfully. Disciples greet the sect master, 7th old master. Rise. Taoist Yun's face was expressionless. He looked at Xiao Hua and casually sat next to Taoist Wu. This is the dragon race. Even Ao Zhantian, who had already entered the Fortune Gate, couldn't help but roar in his heart when he felt his blood boiling uncontrollably. How many masters do we have in the Fortune Gate? Martial Uncle Yun has come out. Next should be Martial Uncle Tianren. Xian Songzi smiled and said, He doesn't have many disciples. Senior brother Yuanya is one of them. Damn it, you bunch of ungrateful things. When Tianren heard that it was his turn, he flew out from the space and cursed. Only now did you remember me. My ranking is so much lower than that Lei Ting brat. Xian Songzi and the other disciples naturally knew Tianren's temper. They hurriedly bowed and said, Disciples greet the 8th elder. Rise, rise. Tianren was overjoyed, but his face was still tense. He waved his hand and said, It's too late for you to call me. I don't have any more gifts. Hee hee. Chan Yuan laughed and said, Then we'll wait for the 8th elder to be happy. We'll talk about it when I snatch that Lei Ting brat's position as the 2nd elder. Tianren sat down beside Feng Wu and grinned. Su Tingzi was also dumbfounded. 8 masters with 9th grade origin energy, ah? His fortune gate was going to defy the heavens, right? Unfortunately, he was still wrong. Yuanya opened his mouth again and said, Although Marshal Uncle Sure is different from us, he is still a member of our fortune gate. Disciple thinks that he should be the 9th elder. Ha! A maniacal laugh burst out from the Kunlun mirror's light pillar. Several layers of blood-red light flew out from the Kunlun mirror's light pillar with pitch-black shadows. The demon Lord Shifei flew out and landed in front of Yuanya. He stretched out his large hand and slapped Yuanya hard. Good boy, I was right. Your talent is excellent. In the future you will inherit my inheritance. The task of dominating the devil world will be handed to you. Fu Jiwen and the other disciples were naturally familiar with this devil clan's martial uncle. They hurriedly bowed and said, Disciples greet the 9th elder. Rise, rise. Archdevil Sure smiled from ear to ear. He waved his hand and a blood-red bead appeared in front of everyone. He said, This is soul essence. Although it's not much, it's enough to support your divine sense to increase by 10%. Thank you, 9th elder. Although the disciples bowed 9 times, they were still very happy. After Archdevil Sure sat down, Xiaohua looked around and said with disappointment, What a pity, oh! What does fellow Taoist mean? Not only were the disciples confused, even the Thunderbolt Master and the others were confused. Xiaohua looked at the sky outside the Fortune Dao Palace and said, My fortune gate should have a 10th elder. Unfortunately, his whereabouts are unknown. He can't reunite with us. Ah? 10th elder? The Thunderbolt Master and the others were stunned and asked curiously, How come we don't know? Xiaohua smiled and told them about the disappearance of the Phoenix celestial body. Back then, Xiaohua's doppelganger technique was too shallow. The doppelgangers did not have their own consciousness, so they did not know about this matter. When Feng Wu heard this, a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. He smiled and said, If that's the case, this fellow Taoist should be the 8th great sage of my great sage hall. Who knows? Xiaohua shook his head. I still don't know how strong he is now. However, if I'm not wrong, he should be in the light congregating realm, or the enlightenment star realm. It's unlikely that he's in the sky devouring realm. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4606. Forget it. Xiaohua looked at the puzzled Fortune Gate disciples and waved his hand, saying, Our Fortune Gate's 10th Old Master's position will be reserved for the time being. Wait for your martial uncle to return. Yes, disciples look forward to 10th Old Master's return. The group of Fortune Gate disciples bowed respectfully towards the outside. Excellent! Xiaohua clapped his hands and said, Our Fortune Gate's 10th Old Master's position has been determined. Our Fortune Gate's glory begins today. Congratulations to the 10th Old Master, congratulations to the 10th Old Master. Seeing that their Fortune Gate actually had 9 of the 3 mainland's supreme cultivators, all the Fortune Gate disciples were overjoyed and congratulated in unison. After the thunderous cheers subsided, Xiaohua's gaze swept over the crowd below the stage, asking, Xian Songzi, how was the reception of our Fortune Gate's disciples? Xian Songzi did not dare to be negligent, hurriedly bowing and answering. Reporting to First Old Master, disciple accompanied Senior Brother Jingting, Junior Brother Wang Bianfei, Junior Brother Yu Zhongquan, and Junior Sister Chang Yuan to the three mainlands to welcome the Star Moon Palace's Fortune Gates disciples. After 10 months and 11 days, we welcomed a total of 8,092 Gold Core Realm disciples and 3,601 Foundation Establishment Realm disciples. Among them, 37 were injured. Disciple was ordered by First Old Master to investigate the cause of their injuries. 14 of them were injured by accident, and Disciple felt that there was no need to pursue the matter. Of the remaining 23, 14 were injured in the Thousand Beasts Sacred Ground, 7 were injured in the hidden Immortal Mainland, and 2 were injured in the Pure Land of Bliss. Disciple was ordered by First Old Master to kill 49 people and exterminate 85 demonic beast tribes. However, as of now, there are still 15 disciples whose whereabouts are unknown. First Old Master, please punish them. Good. Xiaohua nodded, praising. You've done well. Our Fortune Gates disciples should distinguish between good and evil. We can't let others bully us, but we can't bully the weak. As for those 15 disciples, Master and Xiongyi brought them back to the Fortune Gate. Master left in a hurry that day and forgot to tell you. This is Master's fault. It's good that all disciples are fine. Xian Songzi finally let out a long sigh of relief, his face relaxed. What about Ao Zhan and those dragons? Xiaohua asked again. Yu Zhongquan hurriedly replied. Sect Master, I saw Ao Zhan. According to them, after Senior Brother Lui and Junior Sister Jianghong unified the Grotto Heaven River, they expanded their forces to all the rivers of the hidden Immortal Continent. It seems that there was some misunderstanding with Ao Zhan's forces. He left in a hurry and didn't have the time to thank Sect Master. And let them be. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, Jianghong is the princess of the Heavenly Abode River. She is the rightful ruler of the Heavenly Abode River. Ao Zhan was also a direct descendant of the dragon race, so it was natural for him to be in charge of the race. Furthermore, these two dragons were both leaders of their time and talented commanders. It would be strange if they didn't run into each other. Furthermore, from the perspective of the dragon clan, Jianghong's status seems to be slightly lower than Ao Zhan's. Now that Jianghong's power has far surpassed Ao Zhan's, how could Jianghong possibly submit to Ao Zhan? Master, shouldn't we remind Junior Sister? Fu Jiwen asked worriedly. It's necessary to remind her. Xiaohua's face gradually turned frosty as he said. But a reminder is only a reminder, not their true intentions. Master only wants to say that all of you can do whatever you think is right, even if there are some things that Master doesn't like. However, all of you must remember that you are Fortune Gates disciples. Killing fellow disciples is no exception. The moment Xiaohua's words left his mouth, thunder rumbled, and the entire soaring Dragon Mountain range was covered in ice and snow. Disciple doesn't dare. Disciple will always remember Sect Master's teachings. Fu Jiwen was also shocked, and he hastily knelt down. The other disciples were even more frightened as they knelt down and answered in unison. Xiaohua closed his eyes, and a moment later he opened them. His robe fluttered, and a dazzling light shot out from the Fortune Gate Palace. Wherever the light passed, the ice and snow melted, and flowers fluttered in the air. Rays of sunlight also fell from the sky, and it was actually spring again. The coldness on Xiaohua's face gradually disappeared, and he said, You all can stand up. All of you have done well. Master is just giving you a reminder. Yes, Sect Master. The group of disciples stood up again. In this short period of time, they had lost count of how many times they had knelt and stood up, but there was only respect in their hearts, and not the slightest trace of dissatisfaction. Is the Shao country's establishment going smoothly? Have those filthy people been cleaned up? Xiaohua's gaze swept over the group of disciples. Fu Jiwen hesitated slightly. After all, he was the one who had received the Grand Preceptor's lot and had his disciple deliver it to Prince Lan. However, he had followed Xiaohua to the Immortal Palace, and just as he returned, Xiaohua had been promoted to a high seat in the hall. He did not receive any report from his disciple. Fortunately, Wang Biafei hurriedly bowed and said, Master, Prince Lan's master. Junior brother received the Grand Preceptor's lot and led the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's disciples, as well as some Fortune Gate's disciples to the Shao country. Initially, there were some reports, but Master left in a hurry and did not appoint any senior brother or junior brother to be in charge of the Fortune Gate's affairs, so we did not receive any specific reports. When senior brother Xian Songzi and senior brother Taoist Jingting returned, they specifically asked Prince Lan to send a report on the situation this year, but it hasn't been sent back? Xiao Hua asked without any surprise. Xian Songzi said, Indeed. Tell me the general situation. Xiao Hua said indifferently. Yes. Wang Bianfei said. Junior brother Lan took the Grand Preceptor's lot and established his country in the Shao country. The citizens of the Shao country celebrated. Later, junior brother Lan mobilized the Fortune Gate's Iron Army and annihilated the dozen or so countries of Taoist and Confucian cultivators that Master had warned against. Currently, the Shao country's territory has expanded by another 20%. Wang Biafei explained the general situation he knew and concluded. The current Shao country has become the largest empire on the hidden Immortal mainland. Moreover, it's a Taoist country. Disciple heard that junior brother Lan is supervising the construction of the capital city and is preparing to invite Master to be the ruler of the country. Chan Yuan added, No need. Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, The Shao country was established because of the people, and the people are the master. Appointing a ruler is the way of governing a country. Our Taoist sect emphasizes on non-interference, so there is no need for a ruler. Ah? A Shao country without a ruler? Fu Jiwen was also stunned, and then smiled bitterly. Master, what you said is the legendary ideal country. How can it be realized in this country where there are so many Confucian countries? Let's try it first. Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, Master has already established the country according to the Immortal Palace's rules. As for how to govern the country, there is no need for the Immortal Palace to interfere, right? That's true. Fu Jiwen smiled and said, How to govern the Shao country is Master's business. The Immortal Palace has no right to interfere. Of course, the Shi country's affairs are more like a secular country's governance. You and I have no experience. Master's opinion is only for reference. As for the specific situation, let His Highness Lan decide according to the situation. At this point, Xiao Hua transmitted his voice to Fu Jiwen. Jiwen, secretly send enough people to the state of Shi to investigate the recent. Even the situation of His Highness Lan in the past 10 years. Be careful, no one is to speak of this matter. Yes. Fu Jiwen was shocked and hurriedly agreed. Then Xiao Hua pondered and said, As for the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's Fortune Gate, there needs to be someone to take charge. All of you want to cultivate by yourselves. Who can handle the daily affairs? Wasn't Master angry just now? Why are you fretting now? Fu Jiwen was the closest to Xiao Hua. After receiving Xiao Hua's private order, he asked with a smile. Xiao Hua smiled and nodded. Louis is a good candidate. But I'm afraid he'll be easily swayed and listen to Jiang Hong. But Xiao Hua couldn't help laughing when he said this. Isn't this nonsense? Isn't Jiang Hong a Fortune Gate disciple? This matter is decided. Pass down my order. Have Louis return to the soaring Dragon Mountain Range and take charge of the Fortune Gate's affairs. Xiao Hua ordered. Yes, disciple will pass down the order. Fu Jiwen hurriedly agreed. There's one more thing. After dealing with the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's Fortune Gate's affairs, Xiao Hua thought of another matter. He stroked his chin and looked at the disciples, saying, My Fortune Gate has many disciples, but Master doesn't know much about them. Do you know which disciple has the talent to be a merchant that can surpass the Luo e-commerce union Xingpa? Xiao Hua's words silenced everyone. Everyone looked at each other, no one dared to say anything. After all, they were all cultivators. It was enough for them to cultivate. Who would care about merchant matters? Not to mention finding out whose disciple had the talent to be a merchant. Master. Fu Jiwen pondered for a moment, then looked at the disciples on his left and asked, "Why are you asking this for no reason? The Luo E-Commerce Union was established by Ing Po's family. It's not good for our fortune gate to interfere. Even if Patriarch Ing Po did something inappropriate, Master can just remind him. Why would Master covet that Luo E-Commerce Union for no reason?" Xiao Hua snappily glared at Fu Jiwen. Perhaps only Fu Jiwen would dare to say such words. Wang Bianfei, Lu Yi, and the other disciples regarded Xiao Hua's words as the golden rule and didn't dare to disobey. Fu Jiwen laughed. "Don't tell me Master wants to create another Luo E-Commerce Union? Someone gave Master something 100 times better than the Luo E-Commerce Union." Xiao Hua laughed. "This old man wants to find someone to take over. Star-picking tower?" Xiao Hua didn't need to say anything. Fu Jiwen and the other disciples exclaimed, "Master is rich." After saying that, Fu Jiwen felt a little embarrassed and bowed. "Congratulations, Master, congratulations, Master. With the star-picking tower, our fortune gate is like a tiger that has grown wings. This matter must be kept a secret." Xiao Hua laughed. "If others know that the star-picking tower belongs to our fortune gate, I'm afraid there will be trouble. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a tip, and thank you for all your support." Chapter 4607. Then, let's find a Confucian disciple to manage the fortune gate. Wen Chu couldn't help but suggest. Fu Jiwen's heart skipped a beat. He smiled and said, "Master, as the saying goes, one should not avoid family and enemies." Xiao Hua's eyes lit up. Without waiting for Fu Jiwen to finish, he clapped his hands and said, "Not bad, not bad. I forgot that there is an excellent candidate in front of me. It's her turn." Wen Chu nodded and said, "Bayan is a female official of the Immortal Palace. Previously, she was in charge of the school of the Emperor Star. Managing the star-picking tower is a piece of cake for her. Moreover, she is also a female cultivator. She is the most suitable person to manage Star Moon. This king recommends Bayan." Fu Jiwen was overjoyed. After all, Wen Chu's recommendation was completely different from his own. He hurriedly bowed and said, "Thank you, Third Master. Call Bayan in," Xiao Hua ordered. A moment later, Bayan came in from outside the Fortune Gate Palace. When Xiao Hua told her about Star Moon, a complicated expression appeared on Bayan's face. She knelt and said, "First Master, there is no problem with this disciple managing star-picking tower. In fact, there are more suitable candidates than this disciple. However, this disciple can manage it on her behalf. When there is a chance in the future, I will hand it over." Xiao Hua naturally knew that Bayan was talking about the new princess. He nodded and said, "In that case, you can manage it first." As he spoke, Xiao Hua handed over some tokens of star-picking tower to Bayan. At the same time, he also placed some transmogrification techniques in them. Fairy Xingyu had never shown her true face. With the tokens and transmogrification techniques, no one would be able to discover Fairy Xingyu's departure. In the future, when the new princess took over, she would show her true face. With the title of the Immortal Palace's 9th princess, who would dare to have any thoughts? After receiving Fairy Xingyu's tokens, Bayan looked around and stood next to Fu Jiwen. Xiao Hua looked at the listless Bayan and ordered, "Bayan, cheer up! Hurry up and take over Star-Picking Tower and find out about the Nangong family." Upon hearing the words, Nangong family, Bayan immediately woke up as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He hurriedly stepped out of the ranks and bowed to ask for the order. "Disciple understands. Disciple requests Sect Master to allow Disciple to take over right now." "Approved." Xiao Hua nodded. "But you must be careful. Don't let anything go wrong. Don't reveal the secret." "Don't worry, Sect Master," Tao Wu said proudly. "I was born in the Immortal Palace and have done many underhanded things. I will not be discovered by the other disciples of Zhai Xinglu. Actually, it doesn't matter even if you find out," Xiao Hua said with a smile. It's just that Master doesn't want to go through so much trouble right now. Fu Jiwen, bring some disciples to assist Bian. Yes, Master. Fu Jiwen received his orders and hurriedly left the Fortune Dao Palace with Bian. Subsequently, Xiaohua asked a few more questions about the Fortune Gate before dismissing all the disciples. In the end, only Jai Xingzi, Gusuqiodi, Zhang Daoran, and esteemed Master Sun Kong remained. Looking at the four people's respect, Xiaohua smiled and said, Lady Gusu. Yes, Sect Master. Gusuqiodi knew what Xiaohua wanted to say. Her face was as red as a hibiscus. Your relationship with Jai Xingzi is stronger than gold. After going through so many twists and turns, you are still together. This old man is very envious. This old man has promised to invite Wenxing to your Gusa family to propose marriage. Today, I will invite the Confucian Immortal Master, the Scholar Palace Master, to personally go to the Gusa family. I wonder if you are satisfied. Gusuqiodi bit her lips and nodded. This junior thanks Sect Master. Fellow Immortal Wenchu. Xiaohua smiled and said, Gusuqiodi and Jai Xingzi are this old man's good friends. I will have to trouble you with this matter. All right. Wenchu stood up from the jade chair and nodded. This old man has already mentioned this matter. Leave it to this old man. Jai Xingzi. Xiaohua looked at the ecstatic Jai Xingzi and said, This old man still has matters to attend to. I will not be able to personally accompany you to the Gusa family. Zhang Daoran and esteemed Master Sun Kong will go on behalf of this old man. Jai Xingzi nodded happily and said, This junior understands, this junior understands. Sect Master. Esteemed Master Sun Kong shouted from the side. Since you are our sect master, then, can this junior's disciple come to the Soaring Dragon Mountain range? Zhang Daoran's eyes lit up when he heard this. He had already planned to do this, but he wanted to wait for everyone to disperse before telling Xiaohua. However, he didn't expect esteemed Master Sun Kong to have already spoken. Thus, he didn't dare to delay and hurriedly said, This junior also has the same idea. Jai Xingzi was unwilling to be left behind and said, Sect Master, this junior also wants to marry Chiao in the Soaring Dragon Mountain range. Haha, all of you are allowed. Xiaohua laughed. You are all my good friends. How can I not allow it? This disciple also wishes to ask Gong Shu Yiming and the others to accompany this disciple back to the Gusa family. Gusuqiodi had not returned to her family for a long time and was somewhat nervous about returning home. She couldn't help but beg again. And sure. Xiaohua smiled and said, Since it is a joyous occasion, it should be lively. See if there is anyone else you know in the Fortune Gate. Invite them over. Thank you, Sect Master. Jai Xingzi and the others were overjoyed. After expressing their gratitude, they followed Wenchu out. Not long after, everyone finished their preparations. Wenchu knew that Xiaohua still had important matters to attend to, so she simply waved her sleeves and put everyone away. With a sway of her figure, she headed in the direction of the Gusa family. Xiaohua stood up from his jade chair and looked at the empty Fortune Dao Palace. He couldn't help but smile and say, It's just a title of sect master and some ordinary orders. When these disciples leave, this old man actually feels a little reluctant. It seems that many cultivators are infatuated with power for a reason. Fellow Taoist, you are wrong, Taoist sorcerer said with a smile. You are someone who likes to gather and not part. You just don't like to see people leave when the song ends. It has nothing to do with being infatuated with power. Fellow Taoist's personality is a little troublesome. Reverend Yun also agreed. It's fine now that we are all in the 3 continents, but when we leave, I'm afraid you will be sad again. AI, you are right. Xiaohua sighed and flew out of the Fortune Dao Palace with his clones. He said, Days like this are getting shorter and shorter. At this moment, it was dusk again. The sky was dark, and there was no beautiful sunset. Wisps of red light rushed out from the darkness, and a layer of gloom covered the entire land like an incomparably huge net. This gloominess was like Xiaohua's mood, and it tightly bound the human race's Mahayana realm, preventing him from being free. Xiaohua flew towards the depths of the soaring Dragon Mountain range. As he flew, he transmitted his voice to his disciples, telling them not to approach casually and not to panic even if they encountered any strange phenomena. After flying for the time it took to finish a cup of tea, they were already far away from the Fortune Dao Palace. However, Xiaohua didn't stop. After releasing his divine sense, he simply said, "Fellow Taoists, I think we should stay away from the soaring Dragon Mountain range. This place is protected by the Fortune Gate's Grand Formation. If we use any divine ability, I'm afraid it will affect the Grand Formation. That's how it should be." Taoist Wu nodded, and his clones flew out of the Grand Formation. After flying for half an hour, they saw a place with beautiful mountains and rivers. Although the night had gradually seeped in, when they looked at the place, they still felt refreshed. "This is it!" Xiaohua was overjoyed. He raised his hand and pointed at the mountain in the distance. "Fellow Taoists, protect me!" Normally, Archdevil Lord Shi, Heavenly Being, and Taoist Yun would be cultivating in the space. At this time, the three clones' expressions were solemn. They nodded like the other clones, and each of them stood still in midair. Xiaohua's figure swayed, and he landed on the mountain peak. After meditating for a moment, he formed a karmic seal with an indifferent expression. This time, the karmic seal was different from before. As soon as he formed a seal, a tide of light mixed with dark spots poured into the space between heaven and earth. Hurricane after hurricane swept up around Xiaohua, and wherever the tide of light fell, the light particles and spots were all destroyed. Strands of indescribable fluctuations were instantly generated. At the same time, hundreds of millions of laws of heaven and earth surged and pounced on Xiaohua's body. Although the area within 100 miles was covered by the storm, and Taoist Wu and his clones were slowly retreating with the storm, they could still see the light on Xiaohua's body clearly. The backlash of the laws and the accumulation of magic power lasted for 2 hours, and Taoist Wu and his clones had already flown out nearly 1,000 miles. Naturally, the area within 1,000 miles had also become the eye of the storm. "Fellow Taoist Wu!" Heavenly Being was puzzled, and he asked with a voice transmission, "Fellow Taoist Xiao, why don't you go to the sky with such a great momentum? Won't you destroy the surrounding area if you stay here?" "Fellow Taoist, you don't know," Taoist Wu said with a smile. "Taoist spells are most particular about the heavenly Tao, and the heavenly Tao is contained between heaven and earth. If you're in the sky, you can only detect traces of heaven and earth, but not traces of earth. Princess Xian is suppressed in the heaven punishment prison crystal, and it's more likely that she's trapped somewhere on the ground. Therefore, fellow Taoist Xiao can only detect this karmic seal by touching the ground with his body. Of course, fellow Taoist Xiao's karmic hand hasn't reached phenomenal mastery yet. If it reaches phenomenal mastery, there's no need for such a great momentum, and there's no need for you to touch the ground." As Taoist Wu spoke, Xiaohua's body suddenly flashed and disappeared. The area within 1,000 miles seemed to be still, and a strange fluctuation spread out with Xiaohua as the center. Wherever this fluctuation passed, everything became transparent, and all colors were wiped out. In the blink of an eye, an irregular space that was tens of thousands of miles in size was created around Taoist Wu and his clones. Swoosh! Like the faint sound of water, hundreds of millions of water filaments seeped out from the space. At the same time, the space between these water filaments began to distort. As it distorted, countless lights and shadows appeared in the air. Mountains and rivers, heavenly palaces and jade palaces, layers upon layers of torrential floods and tsunamis, and scenes of joys and sorrows flashed out. However, all the lights and shadows were only black and white, and all the lights and shadows were imprisoned in this space. Taoist Wu and his clones didn't dare to delay, and they each used their divine powers to pin down the space, and then closed their eyes to comprehend the fluctuation in the air. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4608. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, Xiaohua's body emitted a thunderous roar, and Xiaohua's disappearing figure reappeared. At this moment, Xiaohua's figure actually refracted extremely dim 9 colors, and this figure turned into 9 phantoms. Xiaohua's figure flashed, and another hand seal was formed, but the hand seals formed by the 9 phantoms were different, and the 9 phantoms gradually turned into different karmic hands in the 9 colors. The space shook, light and shadows swirled, and the cries of gods and ghosts came from an unknown place. Strands of demonic energy, underworld energy, and even more inexplicable strangeness began to disturb Xiaohua's casting. Humph! Taoist witch, demon sovereign sure, and even celestial beings snorted coldly. As they opened their mouths, their visions turned into light and shadows, and as the interference weakened, Xiaohua's figure became more and more illusory, and the space shook more and more. The light and shadows that were scattered all over the space began to converge into the thousands of streams of water. After an unknown amount of time, the space suddenly stopped shaking, and the thousands of streams of water instantly turned into an extremely thin water thread. This water thread rushed into the 9 karmic hands and disappeared in a flash. As the water thread dissipated, everything disappeared, and countless halos of light suddenly rushed out within tens of thousands of miles of space. Wang wang wang! The huge roar sounded again, and looking at the still space, it was now moving, and many thick cracks appeared in the space. Scenes of light and shadows flashed before the eyes of the clones, and it was actually the situation of the space within tens of thousands of miles of space during these days. Woo woo! Strange sobbing sounds were heard, and under the feet of the clones, the earth, mountains, lakes, streams, ancient trees, and green grass appeared one by one. In the sky, the blue dome of heaven, the clouds, the sunset, the stars, and the moonlight also recovered. Among all things, Xiaohua, who was sitting cross-legged at the top of the mountain, also broke out of the cocoon from the 9 phantoms. In an instant, a distortion appeared around Xiaohua, and then an even more powerful energy of the laws covered the heavens and the earth as it descended. Countless halos of light blossomed from Xiaohua's body like fireworks, and it actually caused others to feel that it was unreal. Boom! Just as the avatars were about to move, a primordial spirit phantom that was over 10,000 meters long suddenly rushed out from Xiaohua's body. It madly rushed into the sky and sank into the ground. However, in the next instant, this phantom once again converged into Xiaohua's body. At the same time that the Yuan spirit phantasm fell back, a powerful suction force was born from between Xiaohua's brows. It swept across the nearby space, and like a whirlwind, all the strange phenomena fell into it. At this moment, it was another night where the moonlight was like water. The wind blew gently, the water gurgled, the mountain ridge was like a dragon, and the landscape was like a painting. As Xiaohua slowly got up, everything returned to its original state. The clones couldn't bear to disturb the painting of the night, so they slowly walked over. When they were close, Taoist sorcerer cupped his fists and said, "Congratulations, fellow Taoist, your karma technique has improved again. Thank you for your hard work, fellow Taoists." Xiaohua's eyes flashed with extraordinary splendor, and the rich brilliance of humanity gradually emerged from his eyes. Xiaohua also cupped his hands and said, "I hope that fellow Taoists have also gained something. The heavens reward the diligent, fellow Taoists' 99 days of hard work were not in vain." The celestial being showed off his gentleness, causing Xiaohua to chuckle and reply, "Yes, fellow Taoists should go back and cultivate. Wait until I find a new one, then I'll ask for your help." "Very well." Taoist sorcerers group didn't say anything else and entered their respective spaces. "Immortal Emperor Go Qin is truly ruthless." Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and coldly said, "He actually imprisoned his princess in such a dangerous place. No wonder why the Eastern Infernal Empress couldn't find out anything no matter how hard she tried. However, I don't know where this place is, so I'll have to ask someone else." Having said that, Xiaohua became spirited and urged his body to return to the Fortune Dao Palace. Out of Xiaohua's expectation, when Chu was sitting on top of the Fortune Dao Palace, accompanied by Gusuchiodi, Gong Shuisin, Gong Shu Yiming, Mo Jianli, and other disciples. Behind these disciples were a few Confucian disciples who were sitting cross-legged while Wen Chu was explaining the 5 energy unification art. Xiao Hua didn't disturb them. His figure flashed and landed on a jade chair in the middle. He didn't disturb anyone. After waiting for 2 hours, Wen Chu's lecture ended. All the disciples opened their eyes and were overjoyed. They all bowed and paid their respects to the sect master. Louis still hasn't returned? Xiao Hua frowned and asked. Gong Shuisin respectfully said, First Elder might not know, but the Heavenly Grotto River is not close. You ordered this disciple to fly there and then fly back with senior brother Louis. 100 days definitely won't be enough. Xiao Hua nodded and asked Gusuchioti with a smile. Did the Gusa clan agree? Gusuchioti blushed again and said shyly. With third elder here, outside of the Immortal Palace and the 4 great clans, which clan would dare to not give face? Thank you very much, first elder. Seeing that Gusuchioti was satisfied, Xiao Hua didn't ask anything else. He waved his hand and a jade eye landed in front of Gusuchioti. There is a dangerous place here. Take a look and see if anyone knows where it is. Yes. Gusuchioti took the jade eye. Her clear eyes flashed and her face showed confusion. She thought for a moment and handed the jade eye to Gong Shu Yiming and said to Xiao Hua, This disciple doesn't know. You can go and see if anyone knows. I have something to say to your master. Xiao Hua nodded and ordered everyone to leave. After everyone left, Xiao Hua looked at Wen Chu, and Wen Chu looked at Xiao Hua. The 2 of them didn't speak. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Wen Chu said, Fellow Taoist, have you made your decision? Xiao Hua was a little absent-minded. He nodded casually, but his tone was firm. Wen Chu also looked at the night sky outside the Fortune Dao Palace and said, Everything in this world is like the night sky. There is no direction in the vast expanse. Perhaps a ray of moonlight can give you hope, but if you follow the moonlight, you might only see a dead end. Immortal Emperor Gochun is the master of the Immortal Palace and has been in charge of it for countless years. His scheming is not something you or I can compare to. Earlier, when I heard that the Immortal Palace appointed me as the master of the Literature Star Palace, I didn't dare to believe it because Sun Jian knew very well that our relationship was not ordinary. Immortal Emperor Gochun was not afraid of this relationship and insisted that I enter the Literature Star Palace. Of course, this was because of the 5 energy origin law, but it was also because of his decisiveness and patience. Even though fellow Taoists didn't attack the Immortal Palace and only fought against the master of the 2 pure palaces at the southern heavenly gate, what was the difference between this and attacking the Cloud Overhaul? Immortal Emperor Gochun actually appointed you as the Lightning Master and even asked me to help you. This kind of breadth of mind. TSK, I can only say that Immortal Emperor Gochun is the most ambitious person in this world. Both the 4 great clans and the 100 schools of philosophers have underestimated him. That's right. Xiao Hua also nodded. Of course, before this old man went to the Immortal Palace, I had already thought it through. If I couldn't find Xian's whereabouts, this old man would have definitely fought against Immortal Emperor Gochun and wouldn't hesitate to overturn the Cloud Overhaul. But in reality? This old man was stunned by Immortal Emperor Gochun's words. Not only did I not find Xian's whereabouts, but I also helped him get rid of his greatest threat. Today, although this old man saw karma through the hand of karma and also knew where Xian was imprisoned, it was just as you said, this old man couldn't help but wonder if things were that simple. This old man can use karma. Mahavairakana revered world can see through the world of mortals. Immortal Emperor Gochun can also reverse yin and yang. Even that primordial chaos ancestor has a way to conceal the 5 elements. What this old man saw, how could it be completely real? But Wen Chu's face revealed a thoughtful expression and she smiled. Who knows if it is real or fake? Fake and real, real and fake, it can hide the heart of an emperor who loves his princess. At this point, Wen Chu paused, smacked her lips, and said, Actually, fellow Taoist already has an idea, why ask me again? I am you, you are also me, what we think and know is the same. Xiaohua nodded solemnly. Doubts are doubts, action is action, I can't not take action because of some doubts. Since I can use the hand of karma to obtain information, I can't not go. Moreover, although Xin and I don't have much contact, that feeling of mutual affection is something I can't forget. She has sacrificed a lot for this, so I can't let her down. I don't understand so much about love, but since you have Xin in your heart, and often think about her, then, do. Wen Chu smiled and said, My fortune gates 10 masters have all gone, who in this world can stop them? Immortal Emperor Gochen can't stop them, Virokana can't stop them, and that golden-winged great Pan can't stop them. At this point, several wind sounds came from outside the Fortune Dao Palace, and Gong Shuisen's excited voice came from the air. Master, master, I know, hee, this child. Wen Chu smiled affectionately. She's so cute. She's a piece of unpolished jade. Wen Chu looked at Xiaohua warily, as if warning him. Fellow Taoist has provoked Princess Xin, and also Fairy Jing, this Gong Shuisen, don't think about it anymore. Pff. Xiaohua almost spat out his saliva, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I want to ask Wen Chu Palace Master, do you know what love is? I don't know. Wen Chu honestly said. However, I see that Fairy Jing is depressed, and I'm afraid that my disciple is also like that. Enough. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, When love comes, no one can say it clearly, even Princess Xin. I didn't think too much about it that day, but when it comes to matters between men and women, I can't make the decision. While they were talking, Gong Shuisen had already rushed in, and when she saw Xiaohua, she immediately shouted, Master, this is the hidden Immortal Continent's famous day and night cliff, but the angle in Master's jade eyes is wrong. At this point, Gong Shuisen suddenly realized something, and she stuck out her tongue, took a deep breath, and said, Sect Master. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a tip, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4609. Wen Chu waved her hand and said, Don't make it hard on yourself, call me master if you want. Taoist Xiao is like a brother to me, I won't blame you. Hee, that's good, master. Gong Shuisen giggled and said, Sect Master drew it from a different angle so the color is much dimmer so I couldn't tell. Morning and night cliff? Is it very famous in Burial Immortal Continent? Xiaohua didn't understand and looked at the excited Gong Shuisen. Gong Shui Xin was like a proud little hen. She raised her head and said, Of course. Even if 99% of us Confucian girls haven't been to Morning and Night Cliff, who doesn't know about it? Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry and scolded. I'm not a Confucian girl, of course I don't know. Master, you must know that Magpie Bridge Immortal. Gong Shuisen blushed. Outside the Fortune Dao Palace, Gusuchiodi and the others flew over and obediently stood behind Gong Shuisen. They heard Gong Shuisen recite in a low voice. The delicate clouds play tricks, the flying stars spread hatred, the silver rivers pass on in secret. Golden wind and jade do meet, surpassing countless mortals. Tender as water, auspicious days like a dream, enduring the Magpie Bridge to return home. If two people love each other for a long time, why would they be together day and night? Xiaohua suddenly thought of something and his eyes lit up. Isin, you're talking about tender as water sword? Not bad. Master is great. I didn't think you would know about the #1 imperial artifact of Confucian. Gong Shuisen couldn't help but clap and laugh. Xiaohua covered his mouth and laughed, thinking to himself. Fortunately, Fujiwen was sent to Star Plucking Tower by this old man. Otherwise, he would have exposed this old man's shortcomings. This is what he told me back at Jai Xinglu. Cough, cough. Xiaohua coughed. Of course I know about the 10 great imperial artifacts. While speaking, Xiaohua had already told Wen Chu the story of the 10 great imperial equipment. Wen Chu asked. What does Morning and Night Cliff have to do with the #1 Imperial artifact, tender as water sword? Of course it's related, Master, and it's very related. Gong Shuisin blinked her big eyes as if she didn't understand Wen Chu's words. Her eyes were filled with grievance. Master, don't you know that Li Hua Fairy fell into the Milky Way and died at the Day and Night Cliff? That's strange. Wen Chu didn't understand. Pear Blossom Immortal Palace, didn't she kill the 100,000 celestial soldiers at Southern Heavenly Gate before she was killed by the Star River Water Sword Empress? Why did she die at Morning and Night Cliff? Also, I've been here for so many years, palace for many years. How could the Immortal Palace have records of something that would damage the Immortal Palace's reputation? Gong Shuisin explained. Moreover, although Li Hua Fairy destroyed the immortal weapon in the Immortal Palace, she was still no match for Celestial Empress. After luring out the Heartless Man, Celestial Empress used the Star River to separate them. Li Hua Fairy was so angry that she cut off the Star River, causing the tender-feeling sword to turn into a star and leave. She then followed the Heartless Man to escape to the end of the Star River. In the end, the Star River flowed endlessly and separated her from the Heartless Man. That Heartless Man even broke his heart and abandoned Li Hua Fairy by the Star River, causing Li Hua Fairy's heart to die, and she fell into the Star River and died. Forget it. Xiao Hua smiled. There's no need to talk too much about ancient stories. Tell me where Morning and Night Cliff is. Master, this isn't some ancient story. Gong Shuisin defended herself. Looking at Xiao Hua's uninterested expression, she curled her lips and said, You male cultivators really don't understand romance at all. Isin. Gong Shuyiming reminded in a low voice. How can you speak to First Elder Sect Master like that? Gong Shuisin came to her senses and hurriedly said respectfully, First Elder Sect Master, Morning and Night Cliff is in Qing Province. However, where the Star River fell, the mountains within thousands of miles collapsed, and the weather changed greatly. Only Morning and Night Cliff stood there alone like a heartless pear blossom fairy, First Elder Sect Master. Seeing Gong Shuisin sad again, Gusachiodi hurriedly interrupted. Senior brother Xian Songzi seems to be from Qing Province. He definitely knows where Morning and Night Cliff is. Enough. Wen Chu waved his hand. You can leave now. I won't bring you there this time. Let Xian Songzi come over. Yes, Second Elder Sect Master. Gusachiodi agreed without hesitation. Gong Shuisin wanted to fight for this opportunity, so she said in a low voice, Sect Master, this old man has important matters to attend to this time. Xiao Hua glared at her and said, Even if you call the 11th Elder Sect Master, I won't bring you there. 11th Elder Sect Master? Gong Shuisin was stunned, then nodded sadly and followed Gusachiodi out. Isin is only in the Gongshu family. Xiao Hua smiled. If she was in any other small family, she would have been schemed against. Aren't you in my fortune gate now? Wen Chu smiled. This old man likes such a pure disciple. But it's strange, when you brought Gong Shuisin to the Star Moon Palace, that Gong Shu Jingyi didn't say a word. When Gong Shuisin entered my fortune gate, the Gongshu family's patriarch also didn't say anything. She is the Gongshu family's most important array master. This is where the Gongshu family's brilliance lies. Xiao Hua smiled. Gong Shuisin benefits from this, and it all belongs to the Gongshu family. The Gongshu family knows that Isin won't forget about her sect. However, if something happens to the fortune gate, and Gong Shuisin doesn't report it to the patriarch, then she will have nothing to do with the Gongshu family. Understood. Wen Chu smiled. It's no wonder that when this old man went to the Gusa family to propose marriage, the Gusa family only opened their doors after an incense stick's worth of time. I'm afraid they have been discussing inside. That should be the case. Xiao Hua nodded. Nowadays, every action of a family's disciple has to consider the family's benefits. Speaking of this, Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat as he thought of a person from a long time ago. Kai Zhuxia! Wasn't Kai Zhuxia a pitiful girl who sacrificed her life for her family's benefits? I wonder how she and him are doing now. Xiao Hua thought of Li Zongbao for no reason. When he thought of Li Zongbao and Kai Zhuxiao, Xiao Hua couldn't help but think of Fairy Hong Xiao. Damn it, if she knew that I attacked the Immortal Palace for another girl, would she jump into a vat of vinegar? Not long after, Xian Songzi arrived at the Fortune Dao Palace. When he heard that Xiao Hua wanted to go to the Dawn and Dawn Cliff, Xian Songzi thought for a moment and said, Sect Master, although the Dawn and Dawn Cliff is famous, not many cultivators have been there. Not only is the origin energy there chaotic, but the space there is also very strange. Anyone who approaches the Dawn and Dawn Cliff will feel a heavy pressure, slowing down their flying speed. Even nascent Soul Realm cultivators can't teleport there. What's more special is that the weather there is constantly changing, and there are 4 seasons in a day. Of course, with Sect Master's methods, this trip won't be a problem. And, as long as you know where it is. Xiao Hua smiled. Pass down this old man's order, gather 300,000 Fortune Gate soldiers and follow this old man to the Dawn and Dawn Cliff. Yes, this disciple obeys. Xian Songzi didn't dare to delay and hurried out to pass down the order. Wen Chu smiled. Why is fellow Taoist gathering so many soldiers? Are you guarding against Immortal Emperor Go Chen's scheme? As I know, Immortal Emperor Go Chen's scheme is possible, but not likely. Xiao Hua explained. I am preparing for a rainy day to prevent encountering the Nangong family. Since I was able to find out that Princess Xian was suppressed at the Dawn and Dawn Cliff, the Nangong family's Nangong Tianjiao would naturally know. But then, Xiao Hua frowned and said, That's not right. What if Immortal Emperor Go Chen's scheme isn't the Dawn and Dawn Cliff, but the soaring Dragon Mountain Range? I will take all the disciples with me, and if he sends his troops to suppress us, it will be troublesome. Even if Immortal Emperor Go Chen doesn't come, what if the 4 great families come? Leave Tianren and enlightened Master Yun behind. Wen Chu smiled. Leave behind a portion of the disciples and an army of 100,000. Let's see who dares to suppress the soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Deal! Xiao Hua nodded and invited Tianren and enlightened Master Yun out. After explaining, enlightened Master Yun smiled and said, I alone is enough to guard the mountain. There's no point in having another friend Tianren. You might as well bring friend Tianren with you. If Immortal Emperor Go Chen has other thoughts and sees friend Tianren, he will think that there is no one guarding our Fortune Gate. He will definitely send an order to attack the soaring Dragon Mountain Range. At that time, I will be here to destroy the immortal weapon and give the Immortal Palace a head-on blow. Xiao Hua pondered for a moment, and felt that it was reasonable. After all, enlightened Master Yun's strength surpassed Tianren and himself, and the Pengu axe was an invincible divine weapon in the 3 continents. With enlightened Master Yun guarding the soaring Dragon Mountain Range, he would definitely be able to hold back 10,000 enemies. Xiao Hua kept Tianren into his space and flew out of the Fortune Dao Palace, leaving behind an army of 100,000 and 200,000 disciples. Then, Xiao Hua only brought along Yuanya, Wang Bianfei, and the other disciples, and Xian Songzi to lead the way, and flew out of the soaring Dragon Mountain Range. However, before Xiao Hua could fly 100 miles, he saw a transmission talisman flying out from the soaring Dragon Mountain Range and landing in front of him. Xiao Hua received it, and scanned it with his divine sense. Surprise appeared on his face as Wen Chu asked curiously, Fellow Taoist, is there any new news? This is a message from Jai Xinglu. Xiao Hua passed the transmission talisman to Wen Chu and said, Lao Ai and Fu Jiwen have taken over Jai Xinglu. There is no special news about the Nangong family during this period of time. However, there is a shocking news. The sutra seeking extreme bliss is about to end. Chun Zhang and his 4 disciples have already entered Yu province when Lao Ai sent the message. I'm afraid it won't be long before they arrive at the Longevity Town. Thunder Temple's Mahavairakana revered Buddha, Exquisite Temple's Maitreya revered Buddha, Immortal Palace's Immortal Emperor Gochen, Tai Bai Jinxing, and Thousand Demons' Sacred Territories' Golden Winged Great Pung are also heading to the Longevity Town to observe the ceremony. To welcome the end of this grand event, and to consecrate the hidden immortal continent's first golden Buddha statue. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate, and thank you for all your support. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.